the maximum level expert. She thrives in interstellar riches. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 276 Crispy Pork Belly 3. Wen Jiu spread the coarse salt evenly on the pork belly, then wrapped the pork belly with tinfoil and put it on the baking tray and put it in the oven. While waiting for the crispy pork belly to be baked, she started to make the fragrant roasted small yellow croaker. Because she had previously thought of making salt-fried small yellow croaker as a snack, the small yellow croaker she bought was only the size of a finger. Small yellow croakers of this size are not only suitable for snacks for people, but also for snacks for cats and dogs. Wen Jiu put the small yellow croaker in cold water as usual to accelerate thawing, and then found the fruit dryer that was placed in the cupboard. This fruit dryer was bought by her at Xinguang supermarket 2 days ago. At that time, there was a promotion for home appliances, so she bought several appliances with her super fast hand speed. Then she went to the refrigerator to find some fresh fruit slices and then placed these fruit slices on the lower layers of the dryer. The thawed small yellow croaker was spread on the upper layers by her. After filling each layer, she started the machine to start drying. Meow, it seemed that the fishy smell of the yellow croaker came out from the kitchen, which attracted Xiao to stick his head out of the doorframe again to observe secretly. Don't worry, go to the cat bed. Wen Jiu was washing fresh lettuce. I'll give it to you when it's ready. Xiao blinked his golden eyes in confusion at first, but he finally went back to the cat bed and lay down obediently. But before he stayed in the cat bed for long, he smelled a very strong meaty aroma. He was attracted by the meaty aroma and kept moving his nose and finally took steps in the direction of the meaty aroma. However, what he didn't expect was that this strong and overbearing meaty aroma actually came from the kitchen. You came here because of the smell. Wen Jiu glanced at the door and couldn't help but smile with curved eyebrows. Sure enough, no creature could resist the fragrant pork belly. But this crispy pork belly was impossible for Xiao to eat. Although she had never raised a pet, it didn't mean that she didn't have the basic common sense of raising pets. A loud ding sound was heard. Wen Jiu took out the baking tray wearing gloves. She first took off the tinfoil wrapped around the pork belly and then gently scraped off the coarse salt on the surface with a spoon. After the bright white coarse salt was scraped off, you can see that the skin of the pork belly has been baked to a golden color. But this is not enough. She brushed a layer of white vinegar on the surface of the pork belly and then put the pork belly into the oven again to bake. Meow. Meow. Xiao couldn't understand such behavior. In his opinion, wasn't this letting go of the meat that was right next to his mouth? However, Wen Jiu just stretched out his finger and made a shushing gesture, and Xiao had to lie at the door in a depressed mood, shaking his tail. It doesn't look like a cold and arrogant cat, but rather like a naughty puppy. As time passed slowly, a more domineering and more tempting meat aroma wafted out. After the ding sound, Wen Jiu took out the baking tray again. The pork belly on the baking tray was gleaming with a caramel-like golden luster. Because it had just been taken out of the oven, the crispy crust on the surface was still bubbling with oil. Wen Jiu endured her hunger and waited patiently for a moment. When the bubbles on the surface stopped, she used a kitchen knife to cut the crispy pork belly into small pieces. Meow. Xiao immediately sat up when he saw Wen Jiu coming out with 2 plates. Seeing its appearance, Wen Jiu smiled and said, "You can't eat this. Your midnight snack is the most delicious dried fish." As she said that, she went back to the kitchen to take out the ingredients from the dryer. She grabbed a few dried yellow croakers and walked out of the kitchen. "This is also super delicious." She threw the dried yellow croakers into Xiao's food bowl and then sat at the dining table to attack the crispy pork belly. She had been craving this piece of pork belly for a long time. The roasted pork belly was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, and even a small amount of juice was dripping. The main reason why the meat of the Gilu beast was not chosen was that the meat of the black wind boar was more compact, and the taste of crispy pork belly was better. Wen Jiu first picked up a piece of crispy pork belly and ate it. She immediately felt the crispy and fragrant skin, and even heard the crackling sound of the crispy skin breaking. Chewing again, you can taste the tenderness of the pork belly. The seasoned crispy pork belly has a strong, fresh and salty taste. Every bite can taste two completely different feelings of crispness and tenderness at the same time. Because when Jiu chose the right heat, you can feel the fresh and fragrant gravy flowing in your mouth when you eat it. Moreover, the pork belly washed with sauce and baked in the oven has a reddish brown color and a golden luster, which makes people salivate just by looking at it. Of course, not only people will be greedy, but cats will also be greedy. Zhao originally had his eyes on the crispy pork belly that Wen Jiu was enjoying, so he had been lying under the table waiting for the other party to share a piece of meat with him. In the past, when it lived in the commercial area of Donghu Scenic Area, as long as it lay down in front of other people's stores, those residents would take the initiative to send delicious food to it. But it thinks that it is different from those cats and dogs who have to interact with humans after eating food. Every time it grabs its beloved food, it turns around and walks away. It will never stay in front of other people's stores for a long time. It is impossible to catch it and stroke its fur. And no matter how cold and fierce it is, humans will obediently offer food. But Zhao is a little confused now. Why is the person in front of him different from others? She doesn't even care whether she has eaten dried yellow croaker. Meow meow meow. Meow meow meow. Meow meow. Zhao was angry. He scratched Wen Jiu's trouser legs fiercely to try to attract his attention. But the other party just bent down and looked at it and then made another crackling sound. Wen Jiu was indulging in the deliciousness of crispy pork belly at this moment, because lettuce with pork belly is really amazing. The crispy and tender lettuce wraps the fluffy and crispy pork belly. When you put it in your mouth, you can taste the sweetness of the lettuce and the rich meaty aroma of the pork belly. The smooth and juicy pork belly is mixed with the crispy and crispy skin, and the fresh and refreshing lettuce rolls together in your mouth, giving you an indescribable rich taste. The salty and sweet blend together, and the crispy and tender overlap. No one can withstand such an impact. Dip the crispy pork belly in a small amount of chili powder she made herself, and the mellow meat flavor is instantly stained with a hint of spicy, making people want to swallow their tongues. Meow meow meow. Zhao rushed directly to the table. It stared at Wen Jiu and kept making low growling hums, as if it would rush over and scratch her face in the next second. Today's third update was delivered quickly by the little author. Thank you little angels for checking 030. Chapter 277 Every Man Knows Everything 1. Before Zhao could continue to release his fierce aura, he was entangled by vines that appeared out of nowhere. The strange touch of the slippery and cold plus the panic of suddenly flying into the air, he couldn't help but start to show his teeth and claws again. Meow meow meow. Meow. Wen Jiu only raised his eyes and glanced, then controlled the vines to send Zhao back to the cat's nest. Don't be fierce. As she said, she wrapped a piece of crispy pork belly with tender green lettuce and bit it, and a crisp crunch sound rang out in the living room. Zhao glared in the direction of the dining table with some annoyance, but the man just turned his back to him and continued to enjoy the food, not frightened by his attack just now. He wanted to go to the dining table to provoke Wen Jiu again, but before he stepped out of the cat's nest, the dark green vines instantly stood in front of him, as if to prohibit him from harassing him further. Meow. Zhao tried to get around the thick vine, but the next second the vine wove a high net in front of it, and no matter how it scratched, it couldn't break it. Until Wen Jiu ate all the food on the table, Zhao couldn't get over the vine net. Why are you so greedy for food? Dried fish is also delicious. Wen Jiu just put the dirty dishes into the dishwasher, and she walked back to the living room and removed the vine net. Zhao was lying on the ground like a black ball of hair. She squatted down and poked Zhao head with her finger. You will catch a cold if you sleep here, and the dried fish is really delicious. Don't you want to try it? After that, she picked up Zhao then walked to the food bowl, picked up a dried fish and shook it. Try it at first. Zhao buried his head in Wen Jiu's sleeve, as if he would never eat the dried fish. But it soon smelled a faint burnt aroma in the air, and it raised its head and moved its nose to find the source of the smell. Meow. Wen Jiu looked down at Zhao in her arms. He was no longer as fierce as before, but stared at her with his watery golden eyes, as if he was acting cute. "Look, you are quite flexible." She put Ziohei on the ground and saw him rush to the food bowl quickly and gnaw on the dried fish. Seeing that Ziohei was eating the dried fish so happily, she turned around to clean up and wash up. When Wen Jiu returned to the living room again, she did not find Ziohei. She could probably guess where this naughty cat ran to. "Ziohei, get down here." As she expected, Ziohei felt unsatisfied after eating the dried fish and actually ran to the kitchen chopping board and tried to steal the dried fish that had not been put into the bag yet. Hearing Wen Jiu's high-pitched voice, Ziohei, who had just picked up a small dried fish, decisively started running away. She didn't know how Ziohei could jump up and down flexibly with his injuries, and she was so angry that she tied Ziohei up again with vines. "Why did you learn to steal food again?" Wen Jiu used vines to send Ziohei back to the cat bed and then quickly cleaned up the kitchen. Meow meow meow. Meow 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 meow. Ziohei, who was caught on the spot, was angry and aggrieved. He really couldn't understand Wen Jiu's behavior. Aren't the dried fish for him to eat? Why stop him from eating the delicious and crispy dried fish? He was so angry that he scratched the cat bed frantically, and his sharp claws soon scratched the surface of the cat bed. When Wen Jiu came out of the kitchen, he saw that the living room floor was covered with cotton balls. Ziohei was sitting on the coffee table, shaking his tail, and he raised his head with a sense of pride that he had avenged his great revenge. "You're finished." Wen Jiu directly wrapped Ziohei up with vines and then threw him into a portable pet box. "You can sleep in here tonight." She locked the box with a smile on her face. "Ziohei, good night and sweet dreams." She deliberately emphasized the last few words, and her fake smile made Ziohei feel a chill. But it still maintained its majestic posture, just sitting in the box motionless, not even looking at Wen Jiu, and had no intention of reflecting on its own mistakes. Seeing this, Wen Jiu just turned around coldly and asked the robot Dabe to clean up well, while she went back to the bedroom to rest. She didn't have time to continue to reason with Ziohei because she had to rush to the scenic spot to prepare for the opening tomorrow morning. And she still had some things to deal with, such as Lulu sent a video of celery and meat stir fry, and she needed to post the video on her personal homepage of Xingbo and Bakaliv. There were also the miscellaneous things that needed to be purchased in the store. After careful calculation and comparison, she found that the price was actually similar in Xinguang supermarket and in the supermarket in the mall with a membership card. Some things would be cheaper in Xinguang supermarket, but some things would be cheaper in the supermarket in the mall. So generally speaking, both supermarkets can be used for shopping, but Wen Jiu also carefully calculated the prices of the things she wanted to buy. She made a list of the things that were cheaper in the shopping mall supermarket and sent it to Ziqingyu, asking her to buy them before coming to the store tomorrow morning, and then she would transfer the star coins for the purchase. As for those things that were more cost effective to buy in the Star Network supermarket, she could buy them herself and wait to receive the express delivery the next day. Meow meow meow. Meow meow meow. Wen Jiu had just finished dealing with all the things when she heard Ziohei outside starting to make a noise again. She turned off the light curtain panel and walked back to the living room. As if noticing her arrival, Ziohei, who was making a lot of noise, instantly quieted down. "Although I really want to let you out, you should learn to reflect on what you did wrong." Wen Jiu squatted in front of the box and looked at Ziohei. "Don't worry, the temperature at home is just right. You won't be cold, even if you don't sleep in the cat bed. Meow meow, and there are cushions in the box. It's okay to sleep for a night." After saying this, Wen Jiu ignored Ziohei's cute and coquettish behavior and went back to the bedroom. Before she lay down on the bed to rest, Ziohei's noise came again outside. Meow meow. Meow meow. There were also scratching sounds of shaking the box and the cat's cry. But Wen Jiu didn't go out this time. She silently took off her earrings and put on earplugs to block out the noise. She lay on her side on the bed thinking about opening a store. When she was drowsy, after thinking for a while, she suddenly felt a slight vibration from the wisdom ring. There was only one person who would send her a message so late, but that person hadn't come to see her for a long time. so long that she thought the other party would never come again. Your account has received 18,888 star coins. Yan, good evening, Mr. Sun. Today's first update has been successfully delivered. Please check it out. Little Angels 030. By the way, the photo of Wen Jiu and Lu Yan has been posted in the book Friends Circle. Click on the setting at the top to view it. W equals. Chapter 278. Every man knows too. Wen Jiu originally didn't want to reply to the message because she was really a little sleepy and just wanted to go to bed quickly. But the transfer message made her open her eyes that were about to close tightly, and she really wanted to sleep. But the other party gave too much. She rubbed her eyes and enlarged the light screen panel, then wrapped herself in a quilt and lay on her side. Anyway, she could use the voice input function, so she replied to the other party's message while lying down. Family Wealth 9. Good evening, Mr. Lu. Why are you still not sleeping so late? The huge bathroom was filled with mist, and Lu Yan stood in the mist with his eyes closed. It was not until the message prompt sounded that he slowly opened his eyes and looked at the light screen panel. After a while, his low voice penetrated the mist and wrote one stroke after another in the input box. Yan, not sleepy. After seeing this message, Wen Jiu whispered a sentence in a low voice. You are not sleepy, but I'm sleepy. As a result, the very intelligent voice input function immediately remembered this sentence. Meow. She was about to delete this sentence and not send it, but a cat's meow sounded at an inopportune time. Looking at the light screen panel again, the 4 big words sent successfully made her heart ache. Who will save her? She felt like she wanted to find a hole in the ground to crawl into. And why would the system determine that the cat's meow was confirming the sending of the message? Will her handsome boss ask her for a refund because of this? All kinds of thoughts instantly flooded into Wen Jiu's mind, making her completely forget that she could still withdraw the message. While she was still brainstorming, she felt the wisdom ring on her finger vibrate slightly again. Because she was thinking about falling asleep, she deliberately changed the flashing mode to vibration to prevent herself from being blinded by the flash in the middle of the night. Wen Jiu endured the embarrassment and popped her head out of the quilt to look at the light screen panel, but the other party did not say anything to express his unhappiness, but asked her to go to bed early. Wealthy 9. I'm not that sleepy. If I say it was my cat who was replying to the message just now, would you believe it? Lu Yan walked to the coat rack and picked up his bathrobe. The mirror reflected his tall figure and the thinness that was unique to a teenager. His black hair was scattered and stuck to his back, and the hair on his forehead was still dripping with water. It should have been a flawless painting, but strange black patterns were faintly visible on his jade white skin. He closed his eyes and gently exhaled a breath of mist. His slightly trembling body seemed to be enduring some great pain. As the thick white mist in the bathroom gradually dissipated, the brown medicinal soup in the bathtub was revealed. 9. Brother Lu, listen to my excuse. It was really my cat that sent the message just now. I'm not sleepy at all. I'm very energetic now. Wen Jiu was a little speechless now. She let Zhao out of the box. Before she could teach him a few words, Zhao went back into the box with a completely unpredictable attitude. Stop barking. She pointed at Zhao in the box and kept muttering, but she was wondering why the handsome boy didn't reply to her. Could it be that she was going to lose the income from the chat service? Just when she was about to be sad about losing her income, the rich handsome boy finally replied to the message. Do you have a cat? Although Wen Jiu felt that the other party's focus seemed to be wrong, she still answered the question seriously. 9. The stray cat I picked up outside today is so fierce. After the message was sent, the other party did not reply, so she thought that she could talk about Zhao again, so that she could put the blame on Zhao and mix up the time of the chat service. But she was still editing the message, and then she saw the handsome voice said that they didn't need to chat anymore tonight. 9. Are you really not going to chat anymore? I won't refund the money. Yes. Lu Yan's bathrobe was thrown to the ground by himself, and he closed his eyes and lay in the bathtub again. The warm medicine soup completely soaked and wrapped him, making him show a rare sense of relaxation and pleasure. When he opened his eyes again and left the bathtub, His originally dark eyes were only a piece of azure blue. The medicine soup, which was still splashing, instantly condensed into ice, and the white mist in the bathroom became thicker due to the lower temperature. The temperature on the electronic thermometer in the corner was also rapidly dropping, but Lu Yan seemed to be unable to feel the cold. He walked to the coat rack calmly and took another bathrobe to wrap himself. Then he raised his eyes to the light curtain panel and said in a low and clear voice with a commanding tone, "Say goodnight to me. Say goodnight to me." On the other side, when Jiu was teasing Xiao Hei in the box, she found that using dried fish to lure him was particularly effective. But she still remembered that Xiao Hei had torn up the cat bed and sent the wrong message, so she only used dried fish to lure Xiao Hei out, but did not let the greedy other party taste the delicious dried fish. Meow. Meow. Xiao Hei, who was seduced several times, became angry and embarrassed. He stayed in the box with his back to Wen Jiu and did not want to pay any attention to this bad guy. "If you come out this time, I will give you dried fish, okay?" Wen Jiu waved the dried fish at the door of the box again, and a faint burnt smell instantly emanated. "Come out." She was about to continue teasing Xiao Hei when she saw a new message pop up on the light screen panel. I have to say that she felt that the tone of the handsome boy's words was strange. If you want to hear goodnight, just say it directly. Saying it like this is like ordering her. Besides, her current character is Sun Badao, who is raising 2 children alone. Could this handsome boy have some strange habits? In the end, Wen Jiu still sent the message back with mixed feelings, but she was a little worried that Sun Badao might be favored by the other party. Do handsome guys now have unique tastes? Family wealth 9. Good night. After receiving the reply, Lu Yan raised his mouth with some pleasure, and the azure color in his eyes faded a little. He tied the belt of his bathrobe and stood in front of the mirror. The thick white fog made it difficult for him to see his current appearance, but he was very satisfied because he didn't want to see it. Dang dang. "Master, is your condition stable? The master of the family just called me via video. He is very worried about you." A deep male voice sounded from outside the door, causing Lu Yan to frown slightly and seem a little irritated. "Tell him that he doesn't need to worry about me." As the voice fell, the mirror in front of him cracked a tiny gap. The servant outside the door refused to leave and just stood there stubbornly and continued to knock on the door. The servant outside stopped knocking until the tightly closed door opened. "I'm so glad to see you're okay. May the gods bless you." Lu Yan ignored the man's emotionless words. With a more indifferent expression than usual, he quickly left the bathroom full of herbal scent. After he left, the servant glanced around the bathroom, then turned on the light screen panel and started sending messages to report. "Today's second update has also been successfully delivered. Thank you little angels for your support 030. Chapter 279 Wen's Restaurant Trial Operation 1. The next morning, Wen Jiu came to the store door carrying a portable pet box. What was somewhat unexpected to her was that the customized sign arrived here before her. When she was on the floating bus, she received a message that the courier was being delivered. Because it would take some time for her to enter the scenic area, she asked the delivery robot to put the courier at the door. What she didn't expect was that Shishi also came very early. If the other party didn't have the key to the store to open the door, she could even help her hang up the new sign while waiting for her to come. "Shishi, help me put this in the store." When Jiu opened the door and handed the pet box to Shishi, she was going to move the folding ladder to hang the new sign. Shishi took the pet box with a smile. She looked inside the box curiously and saw a ball of black fur curled up in it without moving. "Hey, is this cat adopted from the Animal Management Bureau?" Because the idea of adopting instead of buying is deeply rooted in the concept of federal citizens. Her first reaction was that when Jiu went to adopt a kitten. "I caught it on the second floor yesterday when Jiu had just moved the ladder over and set it up. I heard from Sister Chen that this cat was a stray cat nearby, so I kidnapped it and took it back as a pet." Then she unpacked the box containing the sign and hung up the new sign while chatting with Shishi. Soon, the sign was hung on the door of the store. The 4 big characters Wen's Restaurant were engraved on the light brown wooden sign. The font was very square, without the sense of flying dragons and phoenixes that Wen Jiu wrote herself. However, it is free to use the font provided by the merchant, and if you use the font she wrote, you will need to charge a certain handling fee. Wen Jiu, who is concerned about saving money, decisively chose the former. If you get something for free, you will earn it. The sign is hung up. Let's go in. After saying that, she carried the ladder and walked towards the store. Only the honest child, Zikingayu, arrived on time. He stepped into the store confidently, ready to be the first to come, so that he could ridicule Kaioshishi, but he saw Kaioshishi constantly moving left and right in front of the table. Why did you come so early? Zikingayu walked over with a puzzled look on his face. And what is this black thing? As soon as he finished speaking, he saw a sharp claw suddenly stretched out from the door of the box. He was so scared that he jumped on the spot and almost knocked Kaioshishi down. It was Wen Jiu who flashed over and helped Kaioshishi to avoid falling to the ground. Kaioshishi said unhappily, "What are you crazy about so early in the morning?" "Sorry." Zikingayu, who was scolded, could only swallow the bitterness silently. He was embarrassed to say that he was scared by the cat. But he regained his composure now, apologized again and continued to ask, "Where did this cat come from? It's as black as a carbon ball." "That's my cat." Wen Jiu glanced at him. "Do you have any opinion?" Zikingayu was speechless after being scolded again. Why was he so unlucky so early in the morning? He was simply a golden punching bag. It was okay for him to be bullied by Wen Jiu and Kaioshishi at ordinary times, and he endured it. But now even a kitten wants to bully him. He really can't stand it. So Zikingayu picked up the pet box and said, "Sister Jiu, it's not convenient for us to do business. If you put your cat here, how about I put it on the second floor for you?" What he said made sense, so Wen Jiu nodded to show his agreement. Seeing this, Zikingayu hurriedly carried the pet box to the second floor. But he didn't want to bully the cat. He just thought that if he put it on the second floor, he wouldn't provoke it, and he wouldn't be bullied by the cat. As the saying goes, if you can't afford to offend him, can you afford to hide from him? Seeing Zikingayu bringing Ziohei upstairs, Wen Jiu and Kaioshishi started cleaning together. She planned to try out the store at noon today, and happened to have bought a lot of ingredients at Xinhuang supermarket last night. After Zikingayu came down from the second floor, she also joined the cleaning. It was not until they finished cleaning everywhere in the store that the express delivery robot of Xinhuang supermarket delivered the items ordered by Wen Jiu. "Zikingayu, please help me process these vegetables with a grater, and Shishi, please wash the meat over there." The three of them worked in an orderly manner in the kitchen. Although Zikingayu and Kaioshishi both couldn't cook, there was no problem in helping out. Moreover, they had been at window number 18 for so long, and they were already very good at helping out. "Hey, Jiu and Jiu's brother and sister, you are here so early today." Sister Chen changed into a pink dress today, which made Wen Jiu and the other two feel uncomfortable. It's not that older people can't wear bright colors, but Sister Chen's pink dress is too bright, and the color is almost fluorescent. Wen Jiu secretly thought that if this dress is placed in the dark, it might glow automatically. The three of them still greeted Sister Chen very politely, and then continued to do what they were doing. "You have prepared so many ingredients. Are you planning to open the store today to welcome customers?" Sister Chen stood outside the kitchen door and looked at curiously. She was looking forward to Wen Jiu opening the store. Yesterday's hot and sour noodles completely conquered her. Not only conquered her, but also successfully conquered her husband. Therefore, she especially hoped that Wen Jiu could open the store as soon as possible. Otherwise it would be too embarrassing to come here every day to cook. "Well, we are planning to have a trial run at noon." Wen Jiu made the sweet potato noodles in advance and hung them on the side, and we have to trouble Aunt Chen to help us promote it. Hearing this, Sister Chen replied with a smile, "Oh, we are neighbors. This little thing is nothing. But don't worry, I will help you promote it now." After saying this, she quickly left Wen Ji restaurant. It is one thing that she is really enthusiastic, but in fact, she still has her own little calculations in her heart. Sister Chen is still very sharp and judging people. She can see that Wen Jiu is the backbone of the 3 children, and if he can make such delicious hot and sour noodles, he must be able to make other dishes. After all, Wen Jiu and the other 2 are new here and don't know other people in the business district. If she helps promote the restaurant, then the other party will definitely remember her kindness in the future, and then she can come to try the new dishes with confidence. Thinking of this, Sister Chen began to promote it door to door. Because it was still early and there were not many tourists in the commercial district, most of the shop owners were sitting in their shops fiddling with the light screen panels to kill time. Sister Liu is playing Rhythm King again. Sister Chen went to her best friend's shop first. As soon as she entered the door, she saw Sister Liu poking the light screen panel frantically. The 3rd update of the day is finally delivered. Cack, it's a little late. Please forgive me, little angels. ORZ. Chapter 280 Wen's Restaurant Trial Operation 2. Liu Sanji is also an old resident of the commercial district. When the East Lake Scenic area was just beginning to be developed, she had a unique vision and bought many shops in the commercial district. Therefore, there are several shops under her name. It can be said that she is the landlady in the commercial district. People who run shops in the commercial district have been getting along for many years, and they rarely call each other by their real names. Basically, they call each other by some kind of friendly nicknames. For example, Sister Chen's original name was Chen Taohua. Because she is the enthusiastic sister in every place, the younger generation likes to call her Sister Chen, and the older generation just calls her Taohua. But no one remembers how the name Liu Sanji came from, and few people know what her real name is. In short, everyone is used to calling her this way, so no one goes into these small details. Taohua? Liu Sanji was busy playing games. You can sit anywhere, I'll be done soon. Sister Chen didn't say much, just pulled a chair over and sat down, and poured herself a cup of hot tea and sipped it. Although Liu Sanji is middle-aged, she likes these new things very much. No matter whether it is a new game or a popular product, she will try it out and buy it. In her words, as long as you always keep a young mentality, you will never get old. Oh, my teammates are too bad. Liu Sanji turned off the light screen panel and sighed. Anyone who saw it would know that she lost the game. Are you still playing that Rhythm King? Sister Chen knew that the other party had been playing this game for a while. 3rd sister, you should play less games and go out more often. However, 3rd sister Liu just slumped down on the chair, leaning lazily against the soft pillow to adjust her posture. It's so tiring to go out. It's more comfortable to stay in the store and play games. Seeing her lazy look, Sister Chen didn't know what to say, so she simply changed the subject and said, do you still remember Lao Chu's store? He was in the hospital, so he sublet the store to a mother and daughter, right? 3rd sister Liu picked up the orange juice on the table and took a sip. You said it when you came here last time. Why is your memory getting worse and worse? Hearing this, Sister Chen smiled heartily and said, oh, I did say it, but I came here this time to tell you that the store will be open for trial operation at noon, and we neighbors should help each other more. Since you only eat takiat at noon, why not go to that store and have a bowl of hot and sour noodles? I ate 5 or 6 bowls last night, and the taste was amazing. After hearing this, Sister Liu shook her head fiercely. Don't mess with me again. Last time I listened to you and went to help someone else to support the business. What a guy. I went to the hospital and stayed there for 3 days. Now I feel dizzy and nauseous when I smell the smell of food. I can only order takiat like vegetable salad. Most of the shop owners live in the commercial district with their families. Only those with special circumstances like Lao Chu will rent or sell their shops, so it is rare for new people to come. But Sister Chen is really too enthusiastic. Every time a new shop owner moves in, she will visit him and help him promote and attract customers. I was wrong last time. I shouldn't have exaggerated that person's cooking skills. Sister Chen smiled awkwardly, but you must trust me this time. Just order that hot and sour rice noodle and you will definitely not step on the thunder. She learned the term stepping on thunder from Liu Sanji. The last time she went to that new store for dinner, Liu Sanji kept shouting that she stepped on thunder and stepped on a big thunder. What is hot and sour rice noodle? I have never heard of it. Liu Sanji suddenly recalled the milk orange grape fried rice she had in that new store last time. The taste was really amazing. She had never eaten such a bad food in her life. If the young boss hadn't said that this was a new internet celebrity dish, she would have wanted to yell to return the money quickly. Later, after eating and returning to her own store, she had abdominal pain and was sent to the hospital to lie in the medical cabin. Fortunately, the store went bankrupt not long after it opened, otherwise she would really tie up the boss and beat him up. And as the saying goes, every failure makes a wise man. She will never believe Sister Chen's lies again. Sister Liu, please believe me this time. Sister Chen was a little helpless. No matter how she tried to persuade him, he refused to believe her. Seeing this, she could only chat for a few more words and then go to the next store to help Wen Jiu attract customers. After Sister Chen left, Sister Liu played her favorite game again. Because she thought doing business was too troublesome, she rented out almost all the stores under her name. Collecting rent every once in a while was enough for her to live a carefree life. She currently only has this one store. When she is in a good mood, she opens the door and sells some goods casually. When she is in a bad mood, she closes the door and stays in her residence on the second floor to play games and watch TV series. It can be said that this is the ideal life in most people's hearts. Alas, these vegetable salads are always these few kinds of salads. My mouth is full of grass after eating them. It was almost noon, and Sister Liu was browsing the takeaway while greeting customers. She was muttering in a low voice, but her words were heard by a customer with sensitive ears. "Auntie, don't you have restaurants in your commercial district? I see a lot of people are queuing up in front of the Wang's restaurant." Hearing this, Liu Sanji could only smile helplessly and said, "I have been running a store here for many years. I can't eat in the restaurants in the commercial district every day, can I?" "That's right." The customer took over the conversation cheerfully, "but I see a new restaurant has opened over Commercial Street 1. Have you been there? Do you have any bad ones to tell me?" Liu Sanji thought for a moment. The only new restaurant that has opened recently is the one that Sister Chen came to promote this morning. But she had not been to that restaurant, so she told the truth. "It just opened. I haven't had time to eat there yet." Hearing this, the customer smiled and chatted with her for a few more words, then paid the bill and left the store. There were not many customers in her store, so Liu Sanji wondered whether she should go to the new restaurant to take a look. After a mental struggle, she finally locked the door of the store, hung up the sign for lunch break, and went to Commercial Street 1. This time period is considered meal time, so there are tourists walking around the commercial district. Some of them continue shopping with snacks in their hands, while others choose to sit in restaurants to eat and rest. Liu Sanji found the so-called new restaurant based on the location of the food housed in her memory. She thought that there would not be too many customers coming to the newly opened restaurant, but she did not expect that there was a long queue in front of the restaurant. The owner of this Wen Jiu restaurant is quite good at doing business. He even gives sour plum soup to those who line up. Yes, and you know what? The taste of this sour plum soup is really amazing. Today's first update has been successfully delivered. Thank you for the support and love of the little angels. The little author has been working hard to save manuscripts these days and strive to update a lot before the new year. Chapter 281 Super Delicious Sour Plum Soup 1. There was a long queue at the entrance of Wen Jiu restaurant, with nearly 20 tourists patiently waiting for their number to be called. These tourists did not intend to come to this new restaurant for lunch, but they could always smell a strong and tempting spicy smell when passing by the entrance. This mouth-watering aroma was something they had never smelled before, so many tourists stopped at the entrance with curiosity, wanting to know what delicious food this restaurant was selling. But the store was already full of people, so they had to take a look and then choose to leave. Although there are not many restaurants in the commercial district, there are enough to accommodate tourists. Except for the most famous Wang's Hotel, there is no need to wait in line to eat at other restaurants. But just as they were about to leave, they saw a girl with a sweet smile coming out with a tray. She distributed drinks to the curious and unwilling customers with a smile and said apologetically in a gentle voice, "I'm sorry, the new store is not well prepared for the trial operation. I hope you don't mind waiting for a while." with a sweet smile, a pleasant voice, and her delicate face like a doll. Anyone who saw it would involuntarily take the drink and then silently stand outside the door to wait in line. "Hello, auntie, I'm sorry that the seats in the store are full now. Please drink a glass of sour plum juice and wait for a while. Then I will give you a number card. I will call you when it's your turn." Liu Sanji saw that the girl was cute and pretty, and her smile made her heart melt. So she involuntarily took the cup and walked to the end of the line with the number card to wait. The temperature is getting higher day by day. A few days ago, I had to wear a cotton padded jacket when I went out, but today it is enough to wear a thin coat. But many people have a very good appetite in cold weather, but they have no appetite when the weather turns warm. Liu Sanji is such a person. She held the cup of sour plum soup and looked at it. The clear crimson sour plum soup did not contain a trace of impurities, and a hint of coolness passed through the thin layer of paper cup to her hands. When she came just now, she heard the discussion of tourists in front of her, saying that the sour plum soup tasted particularly good. To be honest, she didn't really believe it. After all, there were too many drinks that looked pleasing to the eye, but were difficult to swallow. But as the saying goes, you're here. It shouldn't be a problem to just take a sip, right? Liu Sanji handed the paper cup to her mouth with a nervous mood and took a sip, as if she was drinking some deadly poison. The imagined strange smell did not appear, but a strong sweet and sour taste occupied her taste buds. Then she took another sip to taste it carefully, and the cool sour plum soup with a cool taste flowed into her mouth, instantly soothing her original restless and irritable feeling. Moreover, although the name of this drink is sour plum soup, it is not the kind of pure unpleasant sour taste, but a perfect blend of sour and sweet, and even has a mellow taste of sweetness. It's so delicious. Liu Sanji took a sip from the paper cup, and finally raised her head to pour a few drops of sour plum soup at the bottom of the cup into her mouth. She was not the only one doing this in this long line. Every tourist who received sour plum soup did the same, and the tourists passing by looked at her curiously. Some of them received sour plum soup after asking, and then joined the queue. Although some did not come to ask, they wrote down the name of Wen Jiu restaurant, thinking of coming to find out later when there were fewer people. Liu Sanji didn't know why she felt a big appetite after drinking sour plum soup, and this feeling made her feel that the waiting time was too long. But fortunately, Wen Jiu restaurant was very efficient, and it didn't take long for the girl to call her waiting number. Because the tables in the restaurant were long tables, she could only sit at a table with other customers. But Liu Sanji didn't care about these. She just wanted to eat something to fill her stomach at this moment. Especially after she entered the door, the spicy aroma became stronger, making her hunger surge. "Little brother, what are you eating?" Liu Sanji looked to the side curiously, and she found that the tempting aroma came from there. The young man pulled a tissue to wipe the red oil from the corner of his mouth, and then politely replied, "Auntie, this is hot and sour noodles." "It's hot and sour noodles again." Sister Chen, who came to see her in the morning, also said that this hot and sour noodles are delicious. "Is it really so delicious?" Liu Sanji scanned the quarter code on the table with doubts to order. She ordered a bowl of hot and sour noodles and a portion of fish flavored pork shreds. There was a large pot of sour plum soup on each table for guests to drink for free, so Liu Sanji also added a cup of sour plum soup and waited for the dishes to be served. Not long after she placed the order, a handsome boy brought the dishes over. "Your hot and sour noodles and fish flavored pork shreds. I wish you a pleasant meal." Liu Sanji stared blankly at the boy placing the things on the table. Why did this child look so familiar? She thought that most of the shop owners in the commercial district lived here with their families, and maybe some child was helping out here. And she didn't have the mind to think about it at this time, because she was successfully attracted by the bowl of hot and sour noodles with bright red soup. Liu Sanji took a pair of chopsticks from the chopstick holder beside the table, and then imitated the young man just now, mixing the soybeans, peanuts and other seasonings on the hot and sour noodles in the bowl that she didn't recognize. Then she couldn't wait to pick up a chopstick and blow it. After all, the hot and sour noodles were still steaming, and you could tell at a glance that they were just out of the pot. The vermicelli inside was a light gray color that was almost transparent. After being fished out of the red soup, it was coated with a layer of red oil. She slurped the hot and sour noodles with curiosity and anticipation, and the overbearing spicy taste instantly occupied her lips and cavity, making her feel refreshed. Hiss. This sudden impact caught Liu Sanji off guard. She quickly drank a mouthful of sour plum soup to relieve the heat, and then continued to taste the bowl of hot and sour noodles. In fact, the hot and sour noodles are not very spicy under normal circumstances, but Liu Sanji was too anxious to place the order, and didn't see it clearly. She chose the taste as extra spicy, which made it so spicy. The noodles are soft but not tough, and they are smooth and chewy when chewed. The spicy and salty taste made her feel refreshed, and her mouth not only had a strong spicy taste, but also a hint of meat. Her mouth kept secreting saliva because of the spicy and stimulating taste, and she kept pinching the hot and sour noodles into her mouth. The spiciness made her feel a little too strong at first, but after eating it, she felt that it became softer and more comfortable. If you savor it carefully, you can taste the sweetness of the sweet potato flour and the fragrance of chopped green onions. The peas and peanuts wrapped in the flour are crunchy in your mouth, and you can taste the rich aroma of burnt food. Whether it is the texture or the taste, it has a rich and layered feeling, and every bite can bring you a surprise. Today's second update has also been successfully delivered. Please check it out, my lovely little angels. 030. Chapter 282 Super Delicious Sour Plum Soup 2. Only after Liu Sanji slurped the last vermicelli into her mouth, did she put down her bowl, and sighed with satisfaction. It seemed that Sister Chen really didn't lie to her this time. This hot and sour vermicelli was so delicious that she wanted another bowl. But there was still a bowl of fish-flavored pork shreds in front of her. If she ordered more hot and sour vermicelli, she wouldn't be able to eat it. After thinking about it, Liu Sanji still picked up the fish-flavored pork shreds. She thought that, if the hot and sour vermicelli was so delicious, then this fish-flavored pork shred shouldn't be bad, right? Although she didn't know what fish-flavored pork shreds were, it didn't stop her from tasting it carefully. From the outside, this fish-flavored pork shreds was pretty good. The orange-red, tender green and inky black color combination was eye-catching. The burnt and shiny pork shreds mixed in it were even more stunning. Liu Sanji casually picked up a chopstick and put it into her mouth. She thought that, since she had already eaten half of the hot and sour noodles, it didn't matter if the fish-flavored pork shreds were not delicious. At most, she could order another serving of hot and sour noodles. But she soon found out that she was wrong, and she was quite wrong. The carrot shreds were fried to the right degree of softness and hardness, and they tasted sweet and refreshing when chewed. The wood deer shreds had a unique crispness, and it seemed that you could hear a small snap when chewing. The glossy pork shreds exuded a strong burnt aroma, which blended perfectly with the slightly spicy green pepper shreds, reaching the highest level of deliciousness and fragrance. Moreover, the pork shreds were tender and smooth, not difficult to chew at all, and tasted particularly good. The meat tasted burnt, and there was a hint of spiciness on the tip of the tongue. Every bite was a rich taste experience, which made her wonder how the chef thought of combining these ingredients, and the combination was quite perfect without any sense of abruptness, as if these ingredients were born to be put together to make a dish. Oh, isn't this my dear sister Liu? Sister Liu was so immersed in enjoying the delicious food that she didn't notice where Sister Chen came from. Didn't you say you would never come here to eat? Who forced you to come here? Sister Chen took advantage of the people next to her leaving and sat down to tease her. However, Sister Liu didn't intend to pay attention to her at all and continued to eat the fish-flavored pork shreds. Seeing this, she couldn't help swallowing her saliva. How could she be hungry again when she had just eaten? There were quite a lot of customers queuing outside Wen Jiu restaurant. Sister Chen was asked to leave by Kaioshishi before she could even sit in the chair. However, she understood her behavior very well. There was no way this business was unexpectedly hot. If she hadn't brought her friends here early to eat and drink, she would have had to line up outside the door according to the rules, even if she came to eat. So Sister Chen went back to the store and moved her chair out to sit on it. She waited for a long time before Sister Liu came out of Wen Jiu restaurant. You finally came out. She hurriedly walked up to Liu Sanji and chatted with her. Why did you eat in there for so long? I've already drunk 3 or 4 cups of sour plum soup while waiting. However, Liu Sanji just smiled and raised her pocket and said, I'm not satisfied after eating, so I asked the waiter to pack 2 bowls of hot and sour noodles for me to take back to the store and eat while watching TV series. If you use the words of Star Network to describe her, she is a typical homebody. If you can stay at home, don't go out, don't socialize, and it's so cool to stay in your own happy world. She could have continued to eat hot and sour noodles in the store, but when she thought of so many people inside and outside Wen Jiu restaurant, she just wanted to go back quickly, so she simply spent the packing fee to pack the hot and sour noodles away. I really don't understand why you don't like to go out and see people. Forget it today. Sister Chen muttered a few words softly. Isn't this hot and sour noodle delicious? I ate 4 bowls at noon today. The two chatted while walking towards Liu Sanji's shop. As soon as they arrived at the door of the shop, they saw a young man standing there looking around. Young man, what are you doing here? Sister Chen showed her warm-heartedness again and chatted with the young man. Only then did she know that he bought a gem bracelet from Liu Sanji last week, but the bracelet was accidentally broken after being worn by his girlfriend for only 2 days. His girlfriend loved the bracelet very much, so he came here today to buy another one exactly the same. Don't worry, I remember that bracelet is still in stock. Liu Sanji put the package bag on the counter and turned to look for the bracelet in the warehouse. Seeing this, Beiyan finally breathed a sigh of relief. He and his girlfriend were rarely together because of work. Last time he accompanied the senior management to inspect the Donghu scenic area. He happened to see the beautiful gem bracelets in Liu Sanji's store in his free time, so he chose one and bought it for his girlfriend. He was very curious, why is there anyone selling gem bracelets in the scenic area? Liu Sanji's store can be said to be the only one in the commercial district, so he specially took a day off to come here to buy another one. What smells so good? Beiyan stood in the store waiting, but smelled a faint spicy aroma. Hearing him ask this, Sister Liu replied enthusiastically, this is the smell of hot and sour noodles. If you want to eat it, you can go to Wen Jiu restaurant on Commercial Street 1 to buy it. After getting the answer, Beiyan politely thanked the other party. After waiting for a while, Liu Sanji finally came out with an exquisite red velvet box. Thank you, auntie. This is what I want. He quickly transferred the money with a light curtain panel, then picked up the box and walked out of the store. The main reason is that the gem bracelets in Liu Sanji's store are finely crafted and expensive, and she opens the store based on her mood, so there are not many tourists who come to the store to shop. She can remember clearly everyone who has bought bracelets. Beiyan walked a distance before putting the box into the Ziji space. He wanted to leave directly so that he could go back to cancel his vacation early, but the faint spicy smell kept hovering at the tip of his nose, tempting him to walk towards the direction of Commercial Street 1. When he came to his senses, he was already standing at the door of Wen Jiu restaurant. Hello, sir, if you want to eat, you need to wait in line for a while. A little girl came to him with a tray and handed him a paper cup and a number plate. Beiyan didn't know what happened to him, but he actually stood at the end of the line and started to line up. He wanted to leave the line and leave directly, but looking at the cup of sour plum soup in his hand, he felt an inexplicable dry mouth. In fact, this feeling is not entirely caused by the sour plum soup. It is mainly because he was in a hurry on the way to buy the bracelet and didn't even have time to drink water, so he has this feeling now that he is free. So Beiyan picked up the paper cup and took a sip to relieve the pain, but he was amazed by the fragrant and sweet sour plum soup. The slightly cool sour plum soup has just the right acidity and sweetness. He has had a poor appetite recently due to his busy work, but after drinking the sour plum soup, he felt that his appetite was opened. This is really strange. Is there any herb in the sour plum soup? Today's third update is delivered smoothly. Hey, thank you again for the support of the little angels, especially the little angels who have been following and voting. Thank you all. 030. Chapter 283, Fate is Indescribable 1. Beiyan then savored the sour plum soup carefully, but apart from the rich flavor of black plums and the light sweetness of rock sugar, he could not find the taste of other herbs. Is number 98 here? Number 98. He was staring at the empty paper cup in a trance when he heard the little girl calling out the number in a clear and sweet voice. Yes. He hurriedly walked forward with the number plate and was then led to a long table by the little girl. The other party explained to him with apology that, because there were too many customers coming to eat, they could only sit at the same table with strangers at this time. If it were any other time, Bayan would definitely frown and refuse. He didn't like such a noisy place, and the feeling of people next to each other would make him very uncomfortable. But the food in front of those customers was both beautiful and fragrant, and all of them were dishes he had never seen before. So Bayan sat down after a mental struggle. He silently wiped the table back and forth with a paper towel several times, fearing that there would be oil stains on it. But to his surprise, he wiped it several times, but didn't find any stains. He scanned the environment of the store and found that the store was spotless and there was no dust on the wall. However, being in this place full of the aroma of rice, Bayan felt that his hunger was even stronger. So he quickly scanned the quarter code on the table and started to order. There were only 4 simple dishes on the menu, each of which was a dish he had never seen or heard of. He still remembered the hot and sour noodles that Sister Chen mentioned, but when he carefully selected the options of adding onions, slightly spicy, and no coriander, a pop-up window suddenly popped up saying that the hot and sour noodles were sold out. Bayan stared at the pop-up window in a daze. Why did it sell out when it came to him? But the business in the store was so hot, it was normal for this to happen. So he only ordered a golden egg fried rice, thinking of eating a few bites to deal with it. After all, he had been waiting in line for so long, and he always felt a loss if he didn't eat something before leaving. Bayan sat and waited for the egg fried rice he ordered. He felt like he regretted queuing up. The sour plum soup was not sour plum soup at all. It was clearly a magic soup. But when the waiter brought the rice, he no longer felt any regret. The crystal clear rice exuded a faint golden luster, like a golden mountain. The strong aroma was overwhelming, which was completely different from the spicy hot and sour rice noodles. This is a complimentary side dish. You can go to the counter over there to pick it up after you finish eating. Okay, thank you. When the waiter left, Bayan quickly picked up the spoon and scooped a full spoonful of egg fried rice. The rice grains were distinct and soft and fragrant. The bright and tender eggs were paired with the sweet and crispy carrot cubes. Every bite could taste a variety of different fragrances, and there was also a faint onion fragrance dancing on the tip of the tongue, which set off the taste of this fried rice to the extreme. Moreover, the fried rice tasted neither oily nor dry. The rice was soft and chewy enough. The proportion of each ingredient was just right, which made him unable to resist eating one bite after another. Seeing that the bowl of rice was about to be empty, Bayan remembered the dish of side dishes. The white radish was cut into thin slices that were almost transparent and shiny, which made him pick up a piece with chopsticks and put it into his mouth. The sour, fresh and sweet taste burst in his mouth, and the fresh and crisp taste really surprised him. His stomach, which was originally a little full, deflated at this time, as if telling him to keep eating. Therefore, Bayan took a few more bites of fried rice. The fragrance of the white radish blended into the fragrant and soft rice, which made him even more hungry. Unconsciously, he ate a large bowl of fried rice and the side dish clean, without leaving even a grain of rice. But this portion of golden fried rice was not enough to satisfy him, so he quickly placed another order. Sir, your golden fried rice. You can go to the counter over there to get the side dishes. Bayan picked up the plate and walked in the direction the waiter pointed. The counter for getting side dishes was just outside the kitchen, and the kitchen scene could be seen clearly through the transparent glass. Because the hot and sour noodles were sold out, many customers chose golden fried rice as a substitute. But they were all like Bayan, who were amazed after eating the fried rice and wanted another one after finishing one. So there were several customers queuing in front of the counter to get side dishes. Bayan was a little anxious standing at the end of the line because he really wanted to get the side dishes quickly and go back to eat the fried rice, and he didn't know how the chef made such delicious fried rice. Thinking of this, he glanced in the direction of the transparent window. I saw a short and frail girl cooking. She quickly sprinkled some chopped green onions in the pot and then skillfully stir-fried it several times. A large bowl of golden fried rice with green onions came out of the pot. The rich aroma continued to emanate from the kitchen, making Bayan feel that he wanted to go back to eat faster. Before he could retract his gaze, the girl turned around and suddenly looked at him. In an instant, there was an illusion of cardiac arrest. It was not because of how beautiful the girl was. The other party was wearing an apron, a hat and a mask, with only a pair of eyes and ears exposed. What's more, he had a girlfriend, and in his heart his girlfriend was always the most beautiful. The reason why he had this feeling was that the eyes were grey blue and the other party's ears were long and pointed. The only person who had these two characteristics at the same time was that girl, the girl who had an inexplicable change in appearance after experiencing the Dianui forest incident. Bayan was very nervous. He hoped that this was just a coincidence, but when he saw the white gold hair falling down, he knew that he was really unlucky. He had seen this girl once before, when he followed Lieutenant Liang to investigate the Dianui forest incident, but he did not find any useful information. In addition, due to the pressure from the top leaders, Lieutenant Liang was taken away from Planet 3047 and returned to the headquarters planet for investigation. As for him, he was just unlucky. Because of Lieutenant Liang, he was transferred from the 3047 planet branch of the 11th military region to other low-level units. Now he is busy every day, and the work he does is also weird. For example, when he accompanied the top leaders to inspect the East Lake Scenic Area a few days ago, he, a psychologist who specializes in psychology, actually had to accompany the top leaders to visit the scenic area to enjoy the scenery. Anyone who heard it would find it outrageous. But the subordinates brought by the top leaders said confidently that accompanying the top leaders to visit the scenic area was to relax, and they needed a psychologist like him to accompany them and comfort them. After all, the top leaders were under great pressure and rarely relaxed. Visiting scenic spots is certainly a relaxing thing, but it is not relaxing at all to accompany the high-level bragging and flattering. Today's first update has been successfully delivered. Please check it out. Little angels, thank you for your love and support 030. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 284. Fate is indescribable too. Handsome guy, do you want some side dishes? If not, can you move aside? Bayan had been immersed in reminiscing about the past and didn't notice that it was his turn to add side dishes. Yes. Sorry, I was just thinking about something. He quickly apologized to the people in line behind him and then used a tongs to add some side dishes before returning to his seat. But after he came back, he had a very complicated emotion, mainly because he felt that no matter what, the reason for his transfer was more or less related to the other party. If the other party had been willing to cooperate with them in the investigation, Lieutenant Liang would not have been forcibly recalled to the headquarters planet, and he would not have been demoted and transferred. But to be fair, this matter could not be blamed on the other party. She did cooperate with them at the time, and the hospital also proved that she had lost her memory. Alas. Bayan sighed silently, and he felt that he was very entangled now. On the one hand, he thought that the other party caused his demotion, and on the other hand, he told himself that it was none of his business. Brother, why are you sighing? Is the food here not delicious? He was suddenly patted on the shoulder by someone. He turned his head and found that there was a burly man sitting next to him. It's delicious, but before he finished speaking, he was patted hard by the man again. It's delicious. Why are you sighing? I thought the food in this restaurant was so bad that you sighed. Bayan felt enlightened after hearing this. Wasn't it Lieutenant Liang who was demoted and transferred to another position? Why should he blame a kid here? And this kid's cooking is particularly delicious. So he quickly picked up the spoon and scooped up the egg fried rice, and he didn't forget the side dishes he just added. He put some side dishes on the rice and swallowed it in one gulp. The sour taste of pickled cowpeas and the sweet fragrance of rice intertwined in the mouth. followed by the perfect combination of fresh and crispy and soft and fragrant, which made him feel full of fragrance and rich taste. He couldn't help but half close his eyes and sigh with satisfaction. It was so fragrant and delicious, especially under the impact of the salty and fragrant pickled cowpeas. He felt his appetite was even stronger, and he wanted to swallow all the golden egg fried rice one bite after another. Such a scene made Zhang Zuangshi couldn't help but exclaim beautifully, "Fuck, is it so delicious?" Zhang Zuangshi is as his name suggests. He is very strong with thick arms and legs. Anyone who sees him will think he is a macho man. But only the residents of the commercial district know that he is actually a man with a girlish heart. He likes pink very much and loves to do handicrafts, so he opened a doll shop here, selling those handmade cotton dolls and doll clothes. All the dolls and doll clothes are made by himself and are very popular among women. But Beiyan was only busy eating egg fried rice and didn't answer him, so he could only wait patiently for the golden egg fried rice and sweet and sour cabbage he ordered. Fortunately, Wen Jiu restaurant served dishes very quickly. Before long, Zhang Zuangshi had a bowl of egg fried rice that looked like a mountain of gold and a plate of sweet and sour cabbage that was dark in color but exuded a strange aroma. He decisively chose to taste the same egg fried rice as Beiyan first. After all, he saw that the other person was eating very happily, which made his stomach, which had already become flat due to hunger, even flatter. After he took a bite of the egg fried rice, he understood why Beiyan had been immersed in eating and ignored him. Because this golden egg fried rice was too tempting. The egg fried rice was soft and sweet, mixed with fresh and fragrant eggs and sweet and crispy carrot cubes, and a faint onion fragrance. This rich taste experience made Zhang Zuangshi shovel several mouthfuls of rice, and then he had time to pick up the chopsticks, to pick up some sweet and sour cabbage to taste. But what he didn't expect was that although the sweet and sour cabbage didn't look tempting enough, the strong sour and sweet flavor wrapped around the fragrant and soft cabbage successfully stimulated his desire for food. After being fried, the cabbage became very soft and tender, and after biting it, there would be rich juice flowing out. The fragrance of itself combined with the sweet and sour taste of the sauce successfully occupied his taste buds. He exclaimed in surprise, "Damn, this cabbage is so delicious." So he stuffed a mouthful of fried rice and a mouthful of cabbage into his mouth, just like Beiyan. Seeing that, the customers who had just entered the store cast curious eyes and successfully stimulated their appetite. Burp. Beiyan burped softly with satisfaction. He hadn't eaten so happily for a long time. Just as he sat down to relax, Zhang Zuangshi next to him also emptied his rice bowl. The two of them showed a satisfied look at the same time, and even touched their round bellies at the same time. My abdominal muscles seem to have been eaten away by me. Zhang Zuangshi touched his belly a little embarrassedly. He had just eaten 4 bowls of golden egg fried rice. His belly was so full that even the outline of his abdominal muscles almost disappeared. Hearing this, Beiyan turned his head unconsciously and touched his belly again, then silently sighed that he seemed to have eaten away his abdominal muscles. This Wen Jiu restaurant is really a haunted house. Sir, this is the golden egg fried rice you ordered. It has been packed for you. The side dishes are also packed in a small box for you. Welcome to come again next time. Beiyan stood at the door of Wen Jiu restaurant with his bag in his hand. He thought that it would be unreasonable not to bring a portion back for his girlfriend, since he ate so deliciously. It just so happened that he had taken a half-day vacation. It was still in time for him to go to his girlfriend now. He could give her a gem bracelet and a meal at the same time. Moreover, his girlfriend's appetite has not been good recently. She can only drink some nutrient solution to support herself. He hopes that this golden egg fried rice can help her increase her appetite. Goodbye, brother. Next time, bring your girlfriend to my store, and I'll give her 2 cotton dolls. Zhang Zuangshi waved goodbye to Beiyan with enthusiasm, because the coincidental actions in the store just now successfully narrowed the distance between them. So the two of them started chatting, and added a Star Network account, which can be said to be a way of making friends over a meal. It was almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and there was still an endless stream of customers coming to Wen Jiu restaurant for dinner. On the one hand, It was because of Kyoshish's warm hospitality and the fatal temptation of sour plum soup, and on the other hand, it was because those customers who had eaten at Wen Jiu restaurant helped to promote it in the lounge area after leaving. As a result, the number of customers coming to Wen Jiu restaurant completely exceeded Wen Jiu's expectations, and she could only say hello when Zikingai came to the kitchen. The ingredients we prepared are running low. Go tell Shishi not to solicit customers anymore. If there are people who have been waiting for a long time, you can give them a priority ticket. They can enter the store first during the evening business. Today's second update has also been delivered. Thank you to the little angels who have been following and voting 030. Chapter 285 Sweet Cookies 1. Wen Jiu had originally thought of doing a trial operation at noon to see how the customer flow was, but she didn't expect that there were so many customers coming here to eat, so many that it exceeded her expectations. In fact, it was not her fault that she was not prepared, mainly because the East Lake Scenic Area was a place for people to enjoy the scenery, so most of the people who came here were tourists. The only famous restaurant in the commercial area of the East Lake Scenic Area was the Wan Family Restaurant, but those tourists came here for the name of the East Lake Scenic Area, not for the Wan Family Restaurant. Therefore, they would not deliberately look for restaurants during mealtime, and many people would even bring their own lunch boxes or nutrient solution. What's more, there are not many restaurants here, and Wen Jiu restaurant has Kyoshish's hard work in attracting customers, plus the enthusiastic tourists' publicity, so it is normal for the restaurant to be full of customers. I'm sorry, because today is a trial operation, we don't have much food. Please keep this priority admission ticket. We will open at 5 PM. Thank you for your support. Kyoshi and Zikingai sent the remaining guests out together, and after they left, they quickly hung up a wooden sign to suspend business. Oh my god, why is working here so much more tiring than in the college? Zikingai collapsed directly on the chair, without any intention of taking care of her image. Because this is a cruel society, stupid. However, Kyoshi was not much better. She stood outside with a tray for a long time. Now she was so tired that she couldn't stand steadily. She could only lie on the table like a salted fish, and her voice was very weak. After all, she had been entertaining guests outside for so long, it was good enough that her throat was not hoarse. Why don't you go to the second floor to rest first? Wen Jiu was actually very tired. Although she kept cooking in the cafeteria, she had been a salted fish for so many days, and it was really hard for her to suddenly return to high intensity work. Forget it, let's clean the store first. Zikingai stood up first. He went into the kitchen and took the initiative to clean up all kinds of dirty dishes. Fortunately, there are 2 dishwashers in the kitchen, and the capacity of the dishwasher here is much larger than that of the dishwasher in the college cafeteria, so a lot of dirty dishes can be washed at once. Seeing him start to work, Kyoshi went to the bathroom to take out a towel and a broom, and then cleaned the store. Wen Jiu felt that everything she could do seemed to have been taken care of, so she simply went to the small warehouse to drag out the bagged sweet potatoes and started making the purest sweet potato flour. Unlike the sweet potato flour made from ordinary sweet potato starch in the supermarket, she wanted to make a real handmade sweet potato flour that is more resilient. The latter not only tastes more resilient than the former, but also remains soft and resilient after being cooked for a long time. Because these sweet potatoes have been washed by Zikingai and Kyoshi, she can directly start the crushing and grinding process. She mainly saw that Leochu had a grinding machine in the small warehouse, which could just grind these sweet potatoes into the shape she needed. After cleaning the dust on the machine, she began to stuff sweet potatoes into the entrance. With the roar of the machine, the sweet potatoes were crushed into mud and fell out of the exit. Wen Jiu placed a large basin at the exit to catch the sweet potato mud. After the 2 large bags of sweet potatoes were all crushed, he found a large wooden barrel and covered it with a layer of gauze to filter and make perfect sweet potato starch. I don't know where Leochu got these tools from, which just happened to allow her to make sweet potato starch. There is also a small courtyard from the back door of the small warehouse, but there is nothing in the courtyard except a sweet scented osmanthus tree. Maybe because Leo Chu often goes to purchase goods. There is also a cart in the small warehouse that can be used. I have to say that she would like to call Leo Chu's small warehouse the magic pocket of Doraemon. So she moved all these tools to the courtyard, but the sweet potato starch still needs to settle for a while, so she returned to the store after she finished it. Jiug, you're back. Zikingayu put away all the washed dishes. I just heard a loud roar. Did you explode while refining the elixir in the backyard? He didn't know Wen Jiu could make elixirs. Kyoshi accidentally let it slip during the chat, but he never took it seriously. After all, people drink potions and take pills these days. How could a legend of ancient China like refining elixir exist? He thought it was normal for Wen Jiu to cook all kinds of dishes because he had suspected that the other party was the descendant of the mysterious ancient Chinese cuisine for a long time, but he didn't dare to ask or say anything. Next time I make elixir, I will ask you to help me. Wen Jiu glared at him directly and then went to the small warehouse to look for ingredients. She still owed the fans benefits to the viewers of Bikaliv. She had promised to make snowflake crisps during the holidays, but she only had time to make snowflake crisps now, and she forgot to set the welfare snowflake crisps to limited time and unlimited quantity mode, resulting in her owing a huge amount of snowflake crisps now, and she didn't know when she would finish it. Jiu, aren't you going to the second floor to rest? Why are you looking for ingredients again? Kyoshi saw that Wen Jiu had found a lot of ingredients, and she knew that he was going to continue cooking. I'll go to rest later. I still have energy now, so I'll make some snowflake crisps. Wen Jiu moved all the ingredients he needed into the kitchen. Fortunately, the steps to make snowflake crisps are very simple, and they come out of the pot very quickly. She lined up all the ingredients. This was her habit before cooking, and she had to check whether all the ingredients were complete. It was nothing to check, but after checking, she found that two of the most important ingredients were missing: marshmallows and small biscuits. There were no marshmallows in either the shopping mall supermarket or the Star Network supermarket, because people here didn't know how to make marshmallows at all. As for biscuits, there were only small biscuits that were made by mixing flour and water and then baking them. Wen Jiu was a little upset. Could it be that she couldn't pay off her huge snowflake crisp debt? But she quickly regained her composure. Both small biscuits and marshmallows were easy to solve, and she could make them herself. The first thing to do is to make small cookies. She found the butter and put it in a bowl, then put the bowl in a basin with a small amount of warm water to insulate and soften it. This is mainly because the weather is still a little cold now. Although it has warmed up, it has not yet reached the level where the butter can soften naturally. Then she asked Kyoshi to help weigh out the appropriate amount of low gluten flour with a scale, and then she found the eggs and white sugar and prepared to start making small cookies. When the butter is slightly softened, you can start making small cookies. She added the ingredients one by one according to the steps in her memory until goose yellow dough appeared in the bowl. Sorry that the third update today is a little late. Thank you again for the support of the Little Angels 030. Chapter 286 Sweet Cookies 2. Then Wen Jiu put the bag on the bowl and put the bowl in the refrigerator to relax. While the dough was relaxing, she wrote a list and gave it to Zikingayu, asking her to go to the supermarket to buy all the ingredients. The main reason why Kyoshi was not asked to go with her was because her family seemed to have something to do with her and called her several times. So Wen Jiu asked her to go to the second floor to answer the phone. Anyway, with the existence of the Ziji storage space, it was not a problem for Zikingayu to go to the supermarket alone to buy things. When he was unsure, he could just make a video call to Wen Jiu. I don't want to see you every time. Is it because of me? Why? After Wen Jiu checked the precipitation of the sweet potato starch, he was ready to go to the second floor to have a good rest. After all, the business at noon was too busy and tiring. But she heard Kyoshi's voice coming from the second floor when she was halfway there. She had never heard the other party speak so anxiously. Even when she was hospitalized and returned to the academy, Kyoshi still tried her best to restrain her anxiety, as if something was restraining her, making it difficult for her to express her true feelings accurately. Enough. Stop talking. I'm telling you not to. Wen Jiu was startled by Kyoshishi's sudden increase in volume, but she had no intention of eavesdropping, so she returned to the first floor, thinking of waiting for the other party to finish the call before going upstairs. But before she finished walking up the stairs, she saw Ziohei slipping out of the second floor door that was not closed tightly. It was obvious that Ziohei didn't expect Wen Jiu to be at the stairs, and the whole cat was a little stunned. It stood at the door with a little confusion. How did you get out? Wen Jiu walked up in 2 steps, grabbed Ziohei's neck, and lifted him up. Ziohei, who was caught on the spot, was very angry. He kicked his legs and raised his claws frantically in the air, grinning and showing his long and sharp teeth, as if he wanted to bite someone. However, Wen Jiu just brought it in front of him and smiled at it. You are the only one who has teeth, right? If you dare to bite me, I will let you know how powerful my teeth are. Seeing this, Ziohei still looked ferocious with his teeth bared. Sorry, Jiu. Just as the man and the cat were confronting each other, Kyoshishi pushed open the door with red eyes, and she also took out the pet box. I saw that the kitten was very pitiful staying in there, so I thought that the windows and other things were closed anyway, so I'll let it out to let it breathe, she explained with a choked voice. Seeing her like this, Wen Jiu didn't know what to say, so he just stuffed Ziohei back into the pet box and closed it, and then asked, Shishi, do you need me to talk to you about your worries? It's nothing serious, it's just that I had a little conflict with my family. Kyoshishi obviously didn't want to mention the quarrel with her family, so Wen Jiu didn't ask any more questions, and the two returned to the second floor in silence. If you need a place to stay, you are always welcome to come to my house. The atmosphere was a little awkward, but Wen Jiu took the initiative to break the deadlock. Although she didn't know what the conflict between Kyoshishi and her family was, she could probably guess that she was unhappy staying at home when she thought about the fact that she had asked if she could stay at her house during the holidays. It's just that others don't want to confide in her, and she can't force anything, so she can only comfort and help in other ways. Thank you, Jiu. Kyoshishi took a tissue to wipe the tears from her face. If possible, can I stay at your house tonight? Of course. Wen Jiu put the pet box on the coffee table, then took the other party's hand and comforted him. I just said that you can come to my house anytime if you need it. Seeing that the atmosphere at the moment was becoming more and more warm and touching, Ziohei made an inappropriate and irritable cat cry and a harsh kicking and scratching cage sound. Why is Ziohei so fierce? I think other people's cats are all quite docile. Kyoshishi no longer looked sad and only looked at Ziohei with her chin in her hand. Maybe it's because he's a stray cat and has suffered a lot outside. It's also possible that each cat has a different personality and temper, just like people. Wen Jiu took out a small dried fish from his pocket and passed it into the box through the gap. At first, Ziohei still looked fierce and wanted to bite people, but after smelling the burnt aroma of the small dried fish, he calmed down instantly, and then he took the small dried fish and ate it in one bite. Then Wen Jiu found the food bowl and poured the prescription food into it. This was weighed with an electronic meter in the morning, so there was no need to weigh the amount again. The portable pet box is equipped with a pet water dispenser, so there is no need to pour extra water for Ziohei to drink. Ziohei, come out and eat. Wen Jiu opened the door of the box and placed the food bowl in front of the door, but Ziohei only had a special liking for the small dried fish. It sniffed the prescription food and walked away, even with a very disdainful look. Hahaha, look at its expression. Kyoshishi was amused by Ziohei's expression. How can a cat dislike eating cat food? As soon as the voice fell, Ziohei became inexplicably irritable again. Seeing this, Wen Jiu quickly picked it up and stuffed it back and did not forget to put the food bowl into the pet box for it. Ignore it when you leave, let's have a good rest. Before leaving, she imitated Ziohei's grinning expression, revealing her particularly long and sharp canine teeth. I don't know why, but Ziohei suddenly became quiet. Well, Ziohei was scared by you. Kyoshishi curiously moved closer, but Ziohei soon regained his ferocious appearance and continued to kick and scratch the cage. so she didn't say anything more, just followed Wen Jiu to the master bedroom for a nap. Still sleeping? You two sent me out to work, and then you're going to have a sweet nap here, right? Jiu stood in front of the master bedroom door and knocked frantically. The knocking sound quickly woke up Wen Jiu and Kyoshi. Jiu, I called you several times on video, but you ignored me. I thought you were busy with something else, but you were sleeping in there. He complained aggrievedly about how hard he was working. Because when Jiu didn't answer the phone, he could only buy all the ingredients he didn't know about. If it were any other day, Wen Jiu would definitely give him a good lecture, telling him how difficult it is to make money, and how he can spend money casually. But this time it was indeed, because she slept too soundly, and didn't feel the vibration of the wisdom ring, so she missed the call, and caused this situation. So she could only sigh and say, forget it, just buy it. Next time I'll send you a list using my Star Network account, and also provide you with pictures. Today's first update has been successfully delivered, please check it. Little Angels 030 Chapter 287 Pistachio Cranberry Snowflake Crisp 1. Jiu followed Wen Jiu downstairs with a grievance, and then put all the ingredients he bought into the small warehouse. If you are tired, go upstairs and rest. Shishi and I will do the rest. Hearing this, Jiu stepped decisively to the second floor. You should know that the use of transportation is not allowed in the East Lake Scenic Area, except for the slow tour buses, provided by the scenic area and the work vehicles, that are only used in emergencies. But he waited for a long time outside the commercial area, and did not wait for the slow tour bus, so he could only walk out of the scenic area on his legs, and then walk back here on his legs. Under normal circumstances, this amount of exercise is nothing, but he was so busy and tired at noon that he just wanted to sleep. Now, coupled with this long walk back and forth, he was already very sleepy. After Jiu went upstairs to rest, Wen Jiu went to the refrigerator to take out the refrigerated dough. The dough has become much larger after being refrigerated, but it is necessary to wait for the dough to return to temperature in order to make cookies. So she took Kyoshi to clean up the small warehouse and sorted out the various ingredients bought by Jiu. Then she found the ingredients for making marshmallows, but it was her first time trying to make marshmallows. She only remembered the general steps and didn't know if she could succeed at once. When Jiu first poured the cornstarch into a frying pan and slowly stir-fried it. After it was cooked, she spread it on a baking tray and used a spoon to press out round powder nests. Kyoshi stood not far away and found the little bee. She started the little bee as Wen Jiu said and left the kitchen. Because the little bee has the function of automatic follow-up, she doesn't need to operate it anymore. The main reason is that Wen Jiu hasn't been broadcasting for a long time. Not only are the money fans urging her on the Anchor Dynamics and Zingbo, but even her editor-in-chief Lulu is urging her to resume the live broadcast. After all, the competition in the anchor industry is also quite fierce. Long-term suspension of broadcasting can easily lead to a decline in popularity and loss of fans. But most of the money lovers are waiting for Wen Jiu to resume live broadcasting because they can't find an anchor who can cook better than her, and their orders for snowflake crisps have not been processed yet, so they naturally want to urge her to start live broadcasting quickly and pay off the debt of snowflake crisps. But Wen Jiu hasn't finished dealing with the things at Wen Ji restaurant, and she wants to resume live broadcasting after the official opening. So now she will shoot some videos of making snowflake crisps and upload them. On the one hand, it is to stabilize her popularity and retain fans, and on the other hand, it proves that she is indeed taking orders for snowflake crisps. The little bee automatically follows Wen Jiu to shoot, recording the steps of her making marshmallows step by step. She put the gelatin sheets into ice water to soften them for later use, then weighed the white sugar and started to beat the egg whites. Every step is done very neatly, without any sense of rushing, and coupled with the simple and clean environment of the kitchen, it makes people feel pleasing to the eye. She first separated a part of the weighed white sugar and poured it into the egg whites 3 times to beat it into egg whites, then poured the remaining white sugar into water and heated it, and then put the softened gelatin sheets into the syrup and stirred it. Then she poured the stirred syrup into the beaten egg whites, and after beating them again, she poured them into the bag, opened a small hole in the bag, and squeezed out bowls after bowls on the cornstarch. Wen Jiu sprinkled a little cornstarch on the squeezed balls, and when the balls were no longer sticky, they became marshmallows. But it was not over yet, because she had to continue making small cookies. The pain of having to prepare all the ingredients by herself reminded her of the convenient life in the past. She only needed to order a snowflake crisp gift package on a certain orange software to get a full set of ingredients and tools. Wen Jiu was actually very curious about why the food in the Interstellar era had regressed so much. She knew that the recipes of ancient China were almost lost, which was understandable. After all, China's food culture was profound and extensive, and it was normal that it was difficult to restore after it was lost. But foods like small cookies and marshmallows were not difficult, and she really didn't expect that the production methods would be lost. She recalled the snack area she saw when she was shopping in the supermarket, but there were small cookies that were particularly unpalatable. The small cookies in the supermarket were simply mixed with flour, sugar, and water, without considering the problem of excessive sweetness. They tasted dry and sweet, and she couldn't swallow them at all. It was just that people here were used to it, and didn't think there was anything wrong with it. As for other snacks, most of them were meat and fruits and vegetables baked into dry food. There were also some strange snacks, such as fried insects and boiled seaweed. In short, they were all very strange. The only snack Wen Jiu could accept was potato chips, but these potato chips were just dried potatoes sprinkled with cumin and chili, which she could only say was barely edible. Then she used a rolling pin to roll the dough that had been warmed up to a uniform thickness, and then used the simplest round mold to press out round cookies one by one. Finally, she put the pressed round cookies on the baking tray and put them in the oven, and then she just had to wait for the cookies to be baked. But after doing all this, Wen Jiu still had to keep busy. She had to prepare other ingredients for making snowflake crisps. For example, she had to shell the pistachios and dry the cranberries. Although there were dried cranberries and peeled pistachios in the supermarket, they were all seasoned. The former was too sweet and tasted weird, while the latter was too salty and made her feel uneasy, so she could only ask Zikingayu to buy some unprocessed pistachios and cranberries. When she finished processing the pistachios and cranberries, bursts of rich sweet fragrance of biscuits came out of the oven. What is Sister Jiu cooking again? Why does it smell so good? Not knowing when Zikingayu came down from the second floor, he came to Kaioshishi and waited outside the kitchen together. After all, Wen Jiu would let them taste it first every time he made something delicious. Shh, keep your voice down. Kaioshishi glanced at him. Didn't you see the little bee filming inside? Hearing this, Zikingayu noticed that the black and yellow little bee was filming. So he lowered his voice and said, I just woke up and didn't pay attention. So what delicious food are you making? It seems to be making snowflake crisps. Didn't I put this on the shelves of the Bika store as a fan benefit a long time ago? Now I'm rushing to make a batch of snowflake crisps to pay off my debts. As soon as she finished speaking, she heard a dull knock on the door. The two of them turned their heads and saw that it was a delivery robot knocking on the glass door. What did you buy? They asked at the same time, which made them quickly realize that neither of them bought anything. Kaioshishi first knocked on the kitchen door a few times and then asked, did your express delivery arrive? Today's second update is also delivered. Thank you for the support of the little angels. 030. I believe everyone can see that I'm not only bad at choosing character names, but also chapter names. ORZ. Chapter 288 Pistachio Cranberry Snowflake Crisp 2. Wen Jiu was so busy dealing with snowflake crisps that she forgot that she had a courier that needed to be signed for, but she couldn't leave for a while, so she asked Kaioshishi to sign for it for her. Then the other party put the courier at the kitchen door, and she took the opportunity to check whether the things were intact. Sister Jiu, why did you buy so many bags? Zikingayu looked at her curiously as she opened the courier. Before she could answer, she heard Kaioshishi say, I wonder if you have become more stupid after waking up. These bags are obviously used to package snowflake crisps. If you don't buy bags to package them, do you just send them out directly? Seeing that the two were about to start bickering again, Wen Jiu took out all the bags and went straight to the small warehouse to store them. These packaging bags were all customized by her in Gao Lao Wu store, with her own snowflake logo and a label with the name of Sister Fake printed on them. The main reason was that Gao Lao Wu gave her the lowest price, so she was willing to spend the money. After storing them, Wen Jiu returned to the kitchen. The small cookies happened to be baked at this time, and she took out the tray wearing gloves. I saw pieces of brown round biscuits lying in the baking tray, emitting heat, and a rich sweet fragrance wafting from them, which attracted Kyoshi and Zikingayu, who were bickering outside the kitchen, to pull the kitchen door frame to find out. These are for you to try, and I have to keep the rest for making snowflake crisps. Wen Jiu picked up a few biscuits and put them in the bowl. For some reason, she felt that she was really taking care of two children, and she couldn't pay too much attention to one of them, otherwise the two children would fight in an instant. So she could only distribute the biscuits evenly between the two bowls, and handed one to each of them. After Zikingayu thanked him, he quickly took the bowl and grabbed a biscuit. The freshly baked biscuit was still a little hot, and he just blew it gently and couldn't wait to bite it. The biscuit was crispy and had a rich milky fragrance and sweetness, but the sweetness was just right and didn't make people feel greasy. He wolfed down a piece and always felt that he didn't taste it, so he picked up another piece and stuffed it into his mouth. Only with Wen Jiu could he indulge himself, eat and drink as much as he wanted, without having to worry about his image and dining etiquette. This cookie smells so good. Kyoshi took a small bite and felt the fragrance in her mouth. This cookie was countless times better than any she had ever eaten before. It was not only crispy and delicious, but also not overly sweet. Only a hint of sweetness spread on the tip of the tongue along with the aroma of milk. Seeing that both of them were eating happily, Wen Jiu returned to the kitchen to continue making snowflake crisps. As long as the ingredients were complete, making snowflake crisps was very simple and quick. She poured a large piece of butter and a small amount of salt into the pot and stirred them, then poured in the marshmallows she had just made, and stirred until they melted. Then she added the processed pistachios and cranberries, as well as the slightly hot cookies that had just been baked and stirred them. Then Wen Jiu put on gloves and moved a large bowl from the pot to the baking tray, folding the whole bowl repeatedly until the melted marshmallows and ingredients were evenly mixed. As she repeatedly folded the large mass of mixture in half, Zikingayu and Kyoshi cast curious glances from time to time. They didn't know why Wen Jiu needed the large mass of unknown object. It looked like kneading dough, but it wasn't kneading dough. However, Wen Jiu didn't explain anything to them. She just used a rolling pin to flatten the large mass until it covered the entire baking tray, then sprinkled a layer of milk powder and waited until it cooled and cut into small pieces. After she closed the little bee that had finished filming, she said, "Come on, try this. Wow, is this the snowflake crisp?" Kyoshi took a piece and put it in her mouth. The crispy and soft taste made her extremely surprised. It also has a rich milky aroma with the sour and sweet taste of dried cranberries and the salty and refreshing taste of pistachios. If someone told her that combining salty and sweet with milky aroma would be delicious, she would definitely think that the other person was joking. But the snowflake crisp in her mouth proved to her that there really is food that can be this delicious. Zikingayu next to her also widened her eyes in shock. He rarely eats snacks, but when he attends a banquet with his family, he can't avoid tasting snacks, but the overly sweet taste is unacceptable to him. But this snowflake crisp is not simply sweet, but the sourness of the fruit itself, and the slight sweetness brought by the milk powder. The most important thing is that he also tastes the salty and fresh taste from the pistachio, which successfully resolves the greasy feeling brought by the sweetness. And it tastes crispy and soft, and has a toughness that makes people want to chew continuously. Jug, my good sister. After eating one piece, Zikingayu was still not satisfied. He came to Wen Jiu and tried to act cute. "Can you give me 2 more pieces of snowflake crisps? I promise I will work hard tonight." However, the other party didn't buy his tricks at all and just said with a fake smile, "It seems that if I don't give you snowflake crisps, you won't work seriously. I pay you a salary." Speaking of work, Come and help me pack these snowflake crisps first, so that I can make an appointment for the courier robot to pick them up later. Wen Jiu forgot to set a time limit, but no limit on quantity in the store before, resulting in her now owed a huge debt of snowflake crisps. Although she took the snowflake crisps off the shelves, after she realized it a few days ago, the order volume has already reached 50,000. To be honest, she felt that she would not be able to complete the 50,000 snowflake crisps orders from the time she went on vacation to the end of the vacation. One order should be packed with 10 snowflake crisps, and she can make about 100 snowflake crisps at a time, which means that she can only complete 10 orders each time. 50,000 orders, even if she works from morning till night, it is difficult to complete. So when Jiu asked while packing, "Do you know any reliable food processing factories? I feel that, even if I work overtime day and night, it is difficult to complete the order of 50,000 snowflake crisps." Hearing this, Jiu quickly answered, "I can ask my brother, he must know. I'm not sure about this." Kyoshi rarely rushed to answer with Jiu, and her tone was a little hesitant, which made Wen Jiu look at her calmly for a few more times. "Then I'll go directly to ask your brother later. It just so happens that I want to ask him about the listing of the medicine, so that I can know when I can get star coins again." Wen Jiu took the initiative to change the subject. She always felt that Kyoshi was a little strange these days, as if she was troubled, but unwilling to confide in herself, so she often showed some hesitation and sadness. Okay then. Jiu's mind was not so delicate. He just felt that it would be more convenient for Wen Jiu to ask Ziziu directly. Today's third update has been perfectly delivered. The little author is typing away like crazy cack. Thank you all little angels for your love and support. Chapter 289, Beautiful Sister 1. The three of them worked together to quickly pack the snowflake crisps. Wen Jiu operated the light screen panel to make an appointment for the courier robot to pick up the package. Then she sent the whole process of making the snowflake crisps to Lulu, asking her to help her edit it into a short video for easy release. It was not that she used Lulu as a tool, but she kept urging her to shoot videos quickly and took the initiative to help with the editing. After all, the more popular she was, the more bonuses Lulu could get, so small things like video editing were of course not a problem. Then when Jiu set up a large iron bucket on the stove and prepared to boil new sour plum soup, because it was previously considered that it was only a trial operation at noon, many ingredients were not prepared in excess. But I didn't expect so many tourists to come and patronize and drink up the big pot of sour plum soup she boiled. Therefore, when Jiu had to boil another pot of sour plum soup and let it cool down for use in the evening. Fortunately, she had prepared the ingredients for boiling sour plum soup in advance. She poured black plums, hawthorns, tangerine peels, licorice and other herbs into the pot in a certain proportion, boiled them over high heat, and then simmered them slowly over low heat. Then she filtered the first batch of sour plum soup and poured it into a large basin. While it was just out of the pot, she added an appropriate amount of rock sugar and stirred it until it melted. Then when Jiu added a small amount of water to the remaining herbs and continued to boil it for the second time over medium heat so that the soup could be boiled thicker. After boiling, pour the soup into the basin and mix it with the first batch of sour plum soup. This is because boiling sour plum soup is like boiling Chinese medicine. The first batch of soup is fragrant, but the bottom taste is thin, while the second batch of soup boiled over medium heat has more thorough medicinal properties, but tastes more sour. The combination of the two can be considered a real sour plum soup, which is sweet and sour with a hint of herbal fragrance and bitterness. Jiu, help me take the packaged snowflake crisps to the robot for delivery. When Jiu was still making sour plum soup, after measuring the temperature with a temperature measuring instrument, she added a small amount of dried osmanthus to the sour plum soup to enhance the fragrance. If the temperature is too high, adding dried osmanthus will not achieve the effect of enhancing the flavor, so it is best to sprinkle it when the soup temperature is about 60 degrees. Okay, Jiu moved all the packed snowflake crisps out. The snowflake crisps were packed in bags and boxes, and barcodes were affixed on them for the convenience of robot scanning and sending. Kyoshi was helping Wen Jiu prepare other ingredients in the kitchen, but it was uncertain how many tourists would come during the evening business, so Wen Jiu decided to prepare the ingredients based on the traffic at noon. The two of them were busy in the kitchen when they heard bursts of cat meows from the second floor. I guess Ziohei is angry. I'll go up and take a look. Wen Jiu took off his apron and mask, washed his hands, and walked towards the second floor. It seemed that he heard the creaking sound of her stepping on the stairs, and Ziohei's cat meows gradually weakened. Wasn't it very noisy just now? Why is it silent now? She opened the pet box and took out the food bowl. There were only a few grains of prescription food and a little residue left in the food bowl. It seemed that Ziohei finally ate the prescription food that he hated so much. Seeing the door of the box opened, Ziohei, who was originally a little depressed, instantly perked up. Just as he was about to step out of the pet box to move around, he was stuffed back by Wen Jiu. You can come out to move around, but you can't scratch around. She squatted in front of the box door and looked at Ziohei, and you can't exercise vigorously. Your right forelimb has not fully recovered yet. If you can do that, I will let you out to move freely. After saying that, she also stretched out her index finger to the box door, as if she wanted to make a pinky promise with Ziohei. Ziohei first crawled into the depths of the pet box and curled up, not wanting to pay any attention to Wen Jiu at all. But soon it stood up, turned around and walked to the box door, stretched out its paw, and quickly touched the other's finger with its soft pad of meat. Good cat. Seeing Ziohei's cooperation, Wen Jiu opened the box door again. As a result, as soon as she opened the box door, Ziohei rushed out like a flash of lightning. Meow meow meow. Meow meow. Ziohei climbed directly onto the windowsill of the living room, arched his body, and made fierce cat sounds. Seeing Wen Jiu's surprised expression, he felt very happy, and then he turned around and prepared to jump off the windowsill to escape from this bad guy who might cut his balls at any time. He banged his head against the window and felt stars in his eyes, and the whole cat was dizzy. He was careless, and the window was locked. Seriously, why do you keep thinking about jumping out of the window? Wen Jiu took advantage of Ziohei's dizziness on the windowsill and picked him up and hugged him in his arms. She had an expression that she had expected and was not as surprised as before. Do you think I'm stupid? I know you are restless, and I don't lock the window. Am I not a big idiot? Zikingayu, who was cutting vegetables downstairs, turned his head and sneezed. Fortunately, he was wearing a mask and didn't have to worry about saliva flying. He looked around for a while, wondering if he should suggest opening the window on the second floor to get some fresh air, but then he thought about the kitten upstairs and decided not to. It was said that cats would jump out of windows. Can't you be more quiet? Wen Jiu took Ziohei and stroked him twice. Ziohei's fur was a little hard, but it was still very comfortable to touch. If you want to continue to live freely, I won't stop you, but you have to heal your wounds first. Although you are registered under my name, you can still run freely in the commercial district when you recover. Ziohei was still a little dizzy at the moment, so Wen Jiu put him on the sofa and waited for him to recover. Here, I put cat food and dried fish here for you. She poured a new portion of prescription food into the food bowl. Because it was almost time for evening business, she was afraid that she would not have time to go upstairs to feed Ziohei later. So she put the food bowl in advance so that Ziohei could eat when he was hungry. Afterwards, Wen Jiu touched Ziohei twice and checked the doors and windows before leaving the second floor. In fact, she was not a particularly kind person. It was mainly because she felt that Ziohei's wandering outside reminded her of her past self, so she was particularly tolerant of Ziohei. Shishi, please bring the kettle on the table. Wen Jiu used a strainer to filter out the dried osmanthus floating on the surface of the sour plum soup, so that the dried osmanthus would not get stuck in the throat when drinking, and the aroma of the dried osmanthus had been integrated into the sour plum soup. After Kyoshi brought a few kettles over, she filled the kettles with sour plum soup one spoonful at a time. It was still the same division of labor as at noon. She cooked and served dishes in the kitchen. Zikingai worked as a waiter in the hall, and Kyoshi continued to greet customers outside. Today's first update has been successfully delivered. I feel like I have the same lines every day. ORZ. Anyway, I hope all the little angels will enjoy reading it, and thank you all for your support to the little author 030. Chapter 290, Beautiful Sister 2. The opening hours of the East Lake Scenic Area are from 8 AM to 8 PM, so many tourists will come to the commercial area to eat at around 5 PM, and then take advantage of the night to enjoy the scenery of the East Lake at night. Thank you, brother. Tong Nana took her friend out of Zhang Zuangshi's doll shop. She bought a cotton doll here last week. Because the doll was finely made and very cute, her friends all said they wanted to buy one. So she told them the location of the store, and then she took her best friend over during the holiday and picked a pair of sister dolls to take away. This doll is really cute, and it's especially suitable for this orange-pink little skirt. Tong Nana hurriedly raised the doll in her hand to take a selfie and took a photo with her friend. Before they took a few photos, they saw Zhang Zuangshi hanging a wooden sign on the door of the doll shop to suspend business. It was just 5 o'clock at this time, and it was not yet time for the scenic spot to close. So she asked curiously, "Where are you going, shop owner?" "Oh, it's you guys." Zhang Zuangshi smiled heartily. "I'm going to Commercial Street 1 for dinner. Do you want to go?" Hearing this, Tong Nana and her friends looked at each other. They had taken photos in the scenic area for an afternoon, and they were indeed a little hungry at this time, but the food in the commercial area was generally tasteless and expensive. Therefore, they originally wanted to go to the mall to eat, and they didn't know how to refuse Zhang Zuangshi's enthusiastic look, so the two of them agreed. This is the restaurant, the newly opened Wen Jiu restaurant. Zhang Zuangshi skillfully received a cup of sour plum soup and a number plate from Kaioshishi, and then stood at the end of the line waiting for his number to be called. Seeing this scene, Tong Nana and her friends were a little surprised. It's not even 5:30 yet, and there are already 7 or 8 people waiting outside the Wen Jiu restaurant. "Good evening, beauties. Sorry, the store is full. You need to wait outside for a while. This is the free sour plum soup from our store. It's refreshing and delicious." Tong Nana and her friend took the paper cups in a daze, and then slowly walked to the back of Zhang Zuangshi to line up. When the two of them reacted, they found that they were already standing in the line. "Nana, that little girl just now was so beautiful." The friend finally came back to her senses and secretly glanced at Kaioshishi, who was entertaining the guests. Hearing her words, Tong Nana nodded in agreement. "She is really beautiful, like a real doll." After saying this, she also secretly glanced at Kaioshishi with her friend. The other party's skin was as white as snow with a rosy face, and her dark eyes were curved like a crescent moon when she smiled. Her long hair was casually tied into a high ponytail. Even such a simple style was enough to make people's heart beat. But Tong Nana felt something was wrong as she looked at her. She felt as if she had seen this little girl somewhere. But her memory was a little fuzzy, and she couldn't remember where she had seen the other person. Just as she was trying to recall, her friend next to her suddenly screamed, "Oh my god. This sour plum soup is too good. It tastes better than the rock sugar and snow pear water in Fanhe Hall." Hearing this, Tong Nana instantly shifted her attention. The drink she and her friend loved most was the rock sugar and snow pear water in Fanhe Hall, but the other party actually said that the free sour plum soup was even better. So she quickly took a paper cup and looked at it. The sour plum soup was crimson without a trace of impurities, which looked quite good. In fact, the sour plum soup boiled out of ordinary should be yellow-brown, but when Jiu added some roselle to it, which made the soup color more crimson. Tong Nana took a photo out of habit, and then took a sip of the paper cup. It was a little cool at the entrance, but soon a fragrant and strong sour and sweet smell filled her tongue, making her reluctant to swallow it for a while. Then she tasted a slight bitterness, but this bitterness did not make people feel uncomfortable, but instead set off the rich fragrance of the sour plum soup. Moreover, the sweetness and sourness of the soup were just right, not too sweet or too sour. It was completely different from the sweet rock sugar and snow pear water that Fanhe Tang mainly sold. She even felt that under the excellent taste of the sour plum soup, the taste of the rock sugar and snow pear water seemed sweet and greasy. "You are right, I think this tastes better." Tong Nana drank the sour plum soup directly, and after drinking it, she stared at the paper cup without even a drop of sour plum soup left. She especially wanted to ask the pretty girl if she could add another cup for herself. However, before she could take action, she saw her friend had already walked up to ask. Of course. Kyosha, she pointed to the kettle next to her. You can add it yourself here. Hearing this, her unpromising friend directly poured a full cup. Fortunately, the girl didn't say anything, so when her friend came back, Tongnana also walked over and filled her kettle. She took a few peeks while adding sour plum soup. She still felt that the girl looked very familiar, but she just couldn't remember where she had seen her. To ladies, is number 39 you? Tongnana was still thinking about it, and her thoughts were interrupted again. Her friend quickly responded, yes, it's sus. Then they were taken to Wen Jiu restaurant and sat at a table in the back with strangers. The two of them had no objection to sharing a table. After all, the space of this kind of small restaurant is not big, and it is not as spacious as those high-end restaurants. Nana, what do you want to eat? I think the dishes here are so novel. The friend had already browsed the menu and thought about what to eat. Hearing this, Tongnana came back to her senses and scanned the quarter code. Her first reaction when she saw the menu was confusion. She had eaten fried rice in other restaurants, but she didn't know what this hot and sour vermicelli, fish-flavored pork shreds, and sweet and sour cabbage were. I see a lot of people ordering hot and sour noodles. Why don't we have that? Her friend came over and whispered in her ear. The guests at the table behind us all ordered hot and sour noodles. I just asked. But Tongnana thought about her recent stomach problems, and the name of hot and sour noodles told her that it was spicy, and she could smell the rich spicy flavor without even turning around. Although the aroma was very tempting, for the sake of her health, she chose golden egg fried rice and fish flavored pork shreds. When the waiter came to serve the dishes, Tongnana and her friend couldn't help but look at each other. Out of politeness, the two of them talked silently using the light screen panel. Nabinana, why are the waiters here so good looking? Lemon, that's right. If you're so good looking, why don't you debut as a child star and just be a waiter here? Today's second update was also dragged here by the little author. Thank you all for your support again 030. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 291, Beautiful Sister 3. However, Tongnana and her friend quickly shifted their attention, because the food in front of them was too tempting. Not only did the aroma make them swallow their saliva, but the food looked very delicate. Although it was served in the most ordinary bowl without any patterns, this bowl of golden fried rice with tender green and bright red was much better than the fried rice Tongnana had eaten before. She remembered that the fried rice she had eaten before was dark blue and seemed to be fried with purple cabbage and pumpkin puree. No, I want to eat. The friend stood up slightly and stretched out her hand to take a pair of chopsticks. She didn't even have the patience to take pictures. She just wanted to quickly taste what this bowl of red and shiny hot and sour noodles tasted like. She used chopsticks to stir the hot and sour noodles in the bowl, then picked up a chopstick and ate it into her mouth. The overbearing and stimulating spicy taste instantly occupied the taste buds, and the fragrant and strong meat aroma rushed straight to her head with the spicy taste, making her feel comfortable all over. Hiss, so spicy. Seeing her friend drinking sour plum soup because of the spicy noodles, Tongnana suddenly felt lucky that she didn't order the noodles, otherwise her fragile stomach wouldn't be able to bear it. So Tongnana scooped up a spoonful of steaming egg fried rice. Seeing that the egg fried rice was shiny and full with a golden color, she couldn't help swallowing her saliva and trying her best to hold back her hunger. Then she quickly took a photo as a souvenir before eating it. The strong aroma of rice mixed with the fragrance of chopped green onions burst in her mouth. The rice was soft and had a unique chewy texture. It was neither sticky nor too dry. She just couldn't stop eating it. She could also taste the sweetness of carrots while chewing slowly. The sweetness just added a sense of layering to the taste. The fried eggs did not lose their original tenderness, but instead had a strong burnt aroma mixed with the rice, making the aroma more rich and tempting. Xiaomeng, you must try this. Tong Nana was about to recommend the golden egg fried rice to Ning Xiaomeng when she saw her slurping hot and sour noodles with a red face, and even the corners of her mouth were stained with red oil. Seeing this, she was a little stunned. She thought Ning Xiaomeng would not want to eat the hot and sour noodles because of the spiciness, but she didn't expect that she was eating so happily that she didn't even have time to pay attention to her. In fact, Tong Nana was trying her best to resist the desire for the golden egg fried rice at this time, because this egg fried rice was so fragrant and delicious. Although the fried rice was fried with oil, it didn't make her feel greasy at all, but she felt that it tasted very refreshing. It was also because she got rid of the temptation of the golden egg fried rice that she noticed the fish flavored pork shreds placed next to the rice bowl. Because there was egg fried rice in front, Tong Nana directly picked up a large chopstick of fish flavored pork shreds and ate it. The tender and smooth pork shreds were fragrant, and the finely cut wood ear shreds were fresh and delicious. There are also sweet and crispy carrot shreds combined with slightly spicy and fragrant chili shreds. Both the texture and taste are extremely rich, and every chew can bring her a full sense of surprise. Hiss, this spiciness is really too addictive. Ning Xiaomeng finally took the time to answer Tong Nana's words just now. Nana, what did you say just now? What do you want to taste? However, this time the roles were reversed, and she became the one who was ignored. Tong Nana was only concerned with a bite of fried rice and a bite of fish flavored pork shreds, and she didn't even have time to chat with her. But Ning Xiaomeng was very smart. When she saw the other party protecting the rice bowl and digging rice fiercely, she guessed that her friend just wanted her to taste the fish flavored pork shreds. So she picked up the chopsticks and wanted to pick up the fish flavored pork shreds, but suddenly Tong Nana patted her hand and said, "What are you doing? Don't touch my fish flavored pork shreds." Ning Xiaomeng was stunned by the slap. Is this still her good friend? They are good friends who have played together since childhood. They share good things with each other, but the other party now doesn't even share a bite of fish flavored pork shreds with her. Ning Xiaomeng, who was angry, groaned and moved her chopsticks to another small dish. Perhaps because Tong Nana had not had time to taste the free side dishes, she did not stop her from taking the side dishes. Oh my god. Ning Xiaomeng originally just wanted to piss off Tong Nana, but she was amazed by the taste of the soaked cowpeas. The tender green cowpeas were seasoned with chili oil, and they were sour and spicy. They were salty and crisp when chewed. This side dish made her appetite increase greatly. She felt that her stomach could still hold some more food after just eating a bowl of hot and sour noodles. So she quickly browsed the menu. Since she had already tasted the hot and sour noodles, she ordered the golden egg fried rice this time. But while waiting, Ning Xiaomeng continued to eat the side dishes, and she soon ate up the side dish. You can help me add some more. Tong Nana's mouth was still full of fried rice, so her pronunciation was a little unclear. But Ning Xiaomeng still understood what the other party wanted to say, so she picked up the plate and walked towards the counter. She remembered that the handsome waiter said that she could add side dishes here. At first, she was dismissive of the free side dishes, thinking that free things must not be good. After all, she had tried the food and drinks given away by restaurants before. However, the free sour plum soup and free side dishes of Wen Jiu restaurant slapped her in the face, making her sigh silently in her heart. How could there be such delicious sour plum soup and overly delicious side dishes? There were not many people queuing up to add side dishes at this time, so it was Ning Xiaomeng's turn soon. She thought there was only the side dish she had just eaten, but she didn't expect that there were 4 large bowls on the table. In addition to the tender green small dish she had just eaten, there were 3 different side dishes in the bowls. So she picked up a part of the 4 side dishes, thinking about going back to try which one was the best. But when Ning Xiaomeng returned to her seat to taste, she found that she couldn't compare which one was the best, because each side dish had its own unique taste. Take the pickled white radish, which was sliced into thin slices and almost transparent. It was crispy and tender, with a sour taste and a hint of sweetness. There were also pickled snow vegetables, which were moderately salty and tender, and refreshing. The freshness and fragrance were mixed with sourness, making her feel that the snow vegetables alone could make her eat 3 bowls of rice. Miss, your golden egg fried rice is a free side dish. Ning Xiaomeng was worried that she only had vegetables to eat, but no rice to go with it, and then she waited for the golden egg fried rice she ordered not long ago. She quickly took it and took several bites. The egg fried rice was still steaming hot after it came out of the pot. It was a little hot after entering her mouth, but it did not affect her to continue eating. The soft and delicious rice paired with the salty and delicious side dishes made her feel like she was in a rice field. The rich aroma of rice was everywhere, and even the breeze blowing in her face was carrying the sour aroma of the side dishes. It must be said that she and Tong Nana were both reluctant to eat more after eating this meal. We are really too full, why don't we go for a walk by the lake? Tong Nana felt that her tight skirt was stretched out, but fortunately she had a thick plush coat on the outside, so she didn't have to worry about others seeing her bulging belly. Let's go. Ning Xiaomeng nodded frantically in agreement. But before they took a few steps, Tong Nana suddenly stopped and looked back in the direction of Wen's restaurant. I seem to remember where I saw that beautiful girl. The last update of the day has also been delivered. Please check it out, little angels. 030. Chapter 292 Runaway Sweetheart 1. Ning Xiaomeng was confused by Tong Nana's words. She didn't expect that the other party was still thinking about the little girl after finishing the meal. Are you sure you really met her and not just want to ask for a Star Network account? She pulled Tong Nana to continue walking forward, fearing that she would turn around and look for the little girl. After all, Tong Nana always likes to make friends with people with good looks. Every time she sees a beautiful lady or a handsome boy, she wants to go up and ask for a Star Network account to make friends with others. I really have seen her. Tong Nana walked back every 3 steps. If I remember correctly, she seems to be from the Kao family. Hearing this, Ning Xiaomeng couldn't help thinking, which Kao family? The big Kao family or the small Kao family? Although the families they belong to are far less famous than the 3 major families, they are still somewhat famous in the circle of rich people on planet 3047. Therefore, they often contact other people in the same circle to establish interpersonal relationships, and it is common for families to hold banquets for appropriate exchanges. I remember it was Xiao Kao's family, Tong Nana recalled seriously. Last year, they held a birthday party for the young master and invited many people to attend. I didn't want to go at first, but my mother said that Xiao Kao's daughter was very beautiful, so I went to attend it happily. Hearing this, Ning Xiaomeng hurriedly asked, so the little girl who ran away at the party was her? This matter is well known in their circle of friends. Last year, Xiao Kao's young master celebrated his 10th birthday and invited many people to celebrate. And the young lady of Xiao Kao's family became famous at that time. At the birthday party, she poured a drink on her brother in front of everyone and had a big quarrel with her parents and ran away on the spot. Yes, it was her. Tong Nana still remembers the scene of that day. The delicate and beautiful young lady of Xiao Kao's family suddenly got angry and picked up a glass of drink and poured it on her brother, who was speaking on the stage. But she had to say that, even when she was angry, the other party still looked like an extremely delicate doll. You can't judge a person by appearance. Ning Xiaomeng smacked her lips. I didn't expect that such a well-behaved little girl would do such an impolite thing on the spot. However, Tong Nana did not agree with her, but only retorted, stop it, what era do we still have to pay attention to those things? I usually hate those so-called etiquettes, and you don't know what the situation is with Miss Kao and her family. So you can eat melons, but you should stop commenting on others casually. The two walked out of the commercial district while discussing, preparing to take a walk by the East Lake to digest the food. The person they were discussing was still doing his job seriously. Madam and gentlemen, please come this way. 2 people at table 3. Kao Shishi enthusiastically led the 2 guests into Wen Jiu restaurant and then continued to entertain others at the door with a tray. She was busy until the last trace of red in the sky disappeared, and then she sat down in the store with fatigue. Come, have dinner. Wen Jiu brought out 3 servings of golden egg fried rice and a large bowl of vegetable soup, and then went to the counter to pick up many side dishes to eat with the meal. It was already 7:30, and it was past the best time for dinner. In addition, the 3 of them had been busy for several hours, and they were all tired and hungry. Jiu, I want to eat meat. Zikingayu sat down at the table first. He had been tempted by the taste of fish-flavored pork shreds for a long time, and now he wanted to grab a Gilu beast and chew it hard. However, Wen Jiu just glanced at him and said, "Cut your meat and eat it. You only know how to yell, and don't know how to observe the fried rice carefully." Hearing her words, Zikingayu quickly picked up a bowl of egg fried rice, and took 2 bites. The fragrant and soft rice was mixed with bright and tender eggs, and there were juicy and soft meat particles mixed in it. You could even taste the juice of the meat particles while chewing. Woo 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 Jiu, you are too good to me. There is so much meat in this fried rice. Zikingayu wiped the non-existent tears, and then continued to eat rice and side dishes. He was feasting here, but Kyoshi was still sitting at the door of the store in a daze. It was not until when Jiu called her that she came back to her senses, but she still looked absent-minded after sitting at the table. "Shishi, eat." When Jiu handed over the chopsticks, "Why are you always distracted today?" Hearing this, Kyoshi quickly took the chopsticks and shook her head and said, "No, I'm just thinking about how to get more customers in the store. There are so many customers, and you still think it's not enough." Zikingayu raised her head suddenly. "I'm almost busy delivering food in the store, and I have to remember their seat numbers or I will make mistakes. It's a good thing that this young master was born with a very good memory. If it was someone else, I would definitely not be able to do this job well." When he was talking back to Kyoshi, he didn't forget to praise himself, as if he was afraid that when Jiu didn't know how tired and busy he was in the store. But what he didn't expect was that the other party rarely talked back to him, but just sat opposite him and ate quietly with a bowl of rice. So Zikingayu finally noticed that something was wrong, and he wanted to say something to liven up the atmosphere. "What's wrong with Miss Kyo today? Do you think that my young master Z is not worthy of talking to you? Girl, don't play this kind of trick of playing hard to get with me." Before he finished speaking, he was pinched by Wen Jiu who was sitting next to him. Hiss. Zikingayu groaned when he was pinched, but he didn't dare to say anything. He could only eat his meal with grievance. After all, even he could see that something was wrong with Kyoshi, so how could Wen Jiu not see it? "By the way, Shishi, didn't you say you would stay with me tonight? Is there anything you want to eat? I'll make you a midnight snack when I go back tonight." Kyoshi, who used to have infinite enthusiasm for eating, shook her head and said softly at this time, "No need, I've troubled you enough by staying at your house. I'll feel bad if I ask for anything else." But when Jiu didn't say much, just scooped a bowl of vegetable soup and handed it over. This dinner was particularly quiet. Zikingayu, who was always talkative, got up quickly to clean up the dirty bowls and plates after dinner. Kyoshi still looked depressed, but she still cleaned the hall and kitchen diligently. Seeing her like this, Zikingayu took the opportunity to find Wen Jiu and said, "You have to accompany her more at night. I always feel that she has been acting strange these 2 days, as if she is worried." "Hey, Gioji, do you think she is on her period? When I was in the children's home, I taught us physiological knowledge. Many people say that girls are particularly prone to depression and irritability during their period. How about I buy her some desserts?" "Oh no, I'll just buy the ingredients. Gioji, you make her some desserts." When Jiu just touched his furry head and said lovingly, "Ziozi, I suddenly realized that you are such a good kid. Today's first update has been delivered. Please check it out, little angels. 030, the chatter that will be deleted. I saw a little angel saying why there is so little technology in the interstellar era. In fact, it is mainly because of the little author's setting. After all, there are low level, medium level and high level planets, so there must be differences in all aspects. For example, there are huge differences in technology. The more advanced the planet, the faster the technology develops. Therefore, you may not see so much high-tech in the early stage, but as the plot develops, more high-tech will appear." Chapter 293 Runaway Sweetheart 2. I have to say that Xingji has done a good job in popularizing physiological knowledge. They have been teaching them this knowledge since they were in the orphanage. But when Jiu knew that Kaioshishi's depression and irritability were not due to her menstrual period, but because she had something on her mind that she couldn't tell. So she continued, "You can leave after the dishes are cleaned up. I will take good care of Shishi." Hearing this, Zikingayu felt relieved. In his eyes, Wen Jiu was omnipotent, and there was nothing to worry about as long as he was there. But after he put away all the washed dishes, he came to Wen Jiu and asked, "Jiu, is there a chef for me in the midnight snack? I can pay star coins to let you." "No," Wen Jiu interrupted the other party's question directly, but she paused for a moment and continued, "Tomorrow, go to the supermarket to buy the ingredients on the list. If you get the job done, I will reward you with a breakfast." The originally dejected Zikingayu instantly cheered up, and he quickly replied, "No problem. Jiu, I will climb now. I'm the best climber." After that, he left Wen Jiu restaurant as fast as the wind, fearing that if he stayed a few more seconds, the other party would not give him breakfast. Kaioshishi just came out of the bathroom and saw a black shadow rushing out of the hall. So she asked curiously, "Why is Zikingayu running so fast?" His mother called him home for midnight snack. Of course he has to run faster. When Jiu checked the dishes in the kitchen again, and then walked slowly to the second floor. Seeing her go upstairs, Kaioshishi followed her. Ziohei performed very well this time. When Jiu saw that Ziohei was still lying on the sofa obediently, "I'll reward you with an extra dried fish and some dried vegetables when I get home." She picked up Ziohei and put him back in the portable pet box. "Shishi, please help me check if there are any signs of Ziohei's destruction in the house." After hearing her words, Ziohei, who was originally quiet and well behaved, suddenly made a fuss in the box. "Meow meow meow. Meow 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 meow." The cat's cry made Kaioshishi's eyebrows curved and she said, "Is Ziohei refuting what you said? It seems that he didn't do anything to destroy it." Although she said so, she still carefully checked the situation in the house. Then she walked to Wen Jiu's side and said that she didn't find any traces. "In that case, let's go home. You can help me unpack the packages at home. I bought some miscellaneous things at the Star Network supermarket last night, and the packages are almost piled up like a mountain." With her constantly finding topics to chat with Kaioshishi, the way back on the floating bus was not awkward. Under normal circumstances, if Zikingayu is ranked first in the level of chatterbox, then Kaioshishi is definitely second. In fact, Wen Jiu is not a person who talks little, but in comparison with the two of them, she seems to talk very little. "I'll let Ziohei out first. Shishi, will you sleep with me tonight, or in the guest room? If you sleep in the guest room, I'll make the bed for you later." Because when Jiu was living alone during this period, she put away the bedding in the guest room to prevent it from gathering dust. It's okay. Tell me where you put the things." Kaioshishi waved her hand quickly, fearing that she would cause trouble to the other party. "I'll make the bed myself. You take care of Ziohei first." Hearing her words, Wen Jiu pointed in the direction of the guest room and said, "It's in the closet of the guest room. You can choose a set you like and put it on." So the two of them went to do their own things, but Kaioshishi didn't come out after entering the guest room. However, Wen Jiu didn't bother them rashly because she saw that the door of the guest room was closed and there were faint sounds of disputes coming out. So she simply teased Ziohei, and by the way, she thought about what midnight snacks she could make to comfort Kaioshishi so that she could open her heart and talk to her about her worries. After thinking about it, she really thought of what she could do. After washing her hands, she went to the refrigerator and searched for a while. Most of the ingredients were in the refrigerator, but some of the main ingredients were still missing. Wen Jiu thought for a moment and walked to the guest room. She knocked on the door after hearing no more arguments inside and said, "Shishi, I'm going to the community supermarket to buy some things. Can you please keep an eye on Ziohei for me?" After that, she put on a thick cotton jacket and went downstairs to buy things. She planned to make some fried chicken and some milk tea. Although eating fried chicken with beer is a good midnight snack, she remembered the rule that minors are prohibited from drinking. If you can't drink, you can still drink milk tea. It just so happens that she has been craving for milk tea recently. But Wen Jiu's family didn't buy tea, so she could only buy 2 cans at the community supermarket. When she returned home, Kyoshi was already sitting in the living room teasing Ziohei. Seeing Wen Jiu coming back with a bag, she hurried over and looked like she wanted to help. "What did you buy so late? I really don't need a midnight snack." She remembered that the other party had asked her if she wanted to eat a midnight snack before. Although she was really craving it, she didn't want to cause too much trouble. "It's okay. You don't want to eat supper, but Ziohei and I do." Wen Jiu took off her cotton jacket and went straight into the kitchen. After washing her hands, she took out a whole colorful chicken from the refrigerator. She had cut the chicken before, so she just needed to put it in cold water to thaw it. Then she took out the tea can she had just bought. Because traditional milk tea is made with black tea, she specially selected a small can of expensive black tea. It hurts to think about it. This can cost her nearly 1,000 star coins. Jiu, is there anything I can help you with?" Kyoshi stood at the door of the kitchen, a little hesitant, as if she was still troubled by her worries. So when Jiu said, while crushing the tea leaves, "Go pick a movie and project it on the wall. You can watch it while eating supper later." After she finished speaking, she continued to get busy. After crushing the tea leaves, pour them into clean water and boil them over low heat. The rich tea fragrance gradually emanated as the temperature rose, and it made people feel very pleasant to smell it. When the tea soup boiled, Wen Jiu took out the tea leaves and then used a spoon to continuously pour out the water to allow the tea soup to continue to concentrate. The fragrance continued to come, and even Ziohei was attracted by the fragrance. But with the lesson of being locked in the pet box before, it just lay at the door sullenly and didn't get close. Kyoshi didn't know when she returned to the guest room. The fierce quarrel kept coming out from the closed door, causing Ziohei to look back from time to time. But it didn't quite understand the meaning of those words, so it meowed at Wen Jiu. "Shh, good cat, keep your voice down." Wen Jiu added fresh milk and a little syrup to the concentrated tea soup and continued to cook. The spoon gently stirred back and forth in the pot until the tea soup and milk blended together. She turned off the fire. "Today's second update is also delivered. Please check it out, little angels." 030, mumbling, "I'm writing and writing. I'm typing on the keyboard like crazy every day to save the manuscript. There will be a burst of updates later, but the specific date is still being discussed with the editor CAC. Chapter 294 Runaway Sweetheart 3. Wen Jiu marinated the thawed colorful feather chicken and then began to make pearls, which are an essential ingredient in milk tea. She planned to make brown sugar pearls to go with milk tea. The combination of the two has a suitable sweetness, and you can also taste the unique sweetness of brown sugar. This is also very simple to make. Just boil the brown sugar and water in a certain proportion, then add tapioca flour and stir quickly, then add more tapioca flour and stir. Stir into a dough, then pour it out of the pot and knead it into a ball. The last step needs to be done while it is still hot, so Wen Jiu condensed the firepower to protect her hands while kneading them quickly. Woo 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 woo. Kyoshi's crying suddenly came over, making Wen Jiu, who was rubbing the pearls, worried. She quickly finished making the pearls, then wiped her hands, and walked to the door of the guest room and knocked. "Shishi, my midnight snack is almost ready. Please come out after you clean up the guest room." "And why didn't I see you projecting a movie in the living room?" After a long time, she heard Kyoshi's choked response. "Yeah, I'll be ready soon." After hearing the other party's response, Wen Jiu returned to the kitchen and poured 2 cups of milk tea and then added a lot of brown sugar pearls to it. Pearl milk tea, of course. Is it delicious to eat pearls? While Kyoshi was choosing a movie in the living room, she quickly fried the marinated colorful feather chicken. After a long time, she brought the milk tea and fried chicken to the coffee table. "Well, I chose a comedy, okay?" Kyoshi rubbed her eyes hard to cover her swollen eyelids at this time. When she saw Wen Jiu bringing fried chicken and drinks, she picked up a drink to relieve her thirst. The aroma of tea and milk lingered at the tip of her nose, and this magical aroma made her heavy mood relieved a lot. "This is the milk tea I made. Try it and see how it tastes." Wen Jiu dimmed the lights in the house and put a few dried fish mixed with dried fruits and vegetables into Zhao Hen's food bowl. She had been busy for so long, and it was already close to 10 o'clock in the evening. So Wen Jiu sat on the floor very naturally and said, "Come on, let's sit down and eat while watching a movie." Because the sofa is still a distance away from the coffee table, it is not convenient to eat fried chicken, and there is a thick and soft wool carpet on the floor, so it is quite comfortable to sit on it. Seeing this, Kyoshi didn't pretend to be anything but just sat down with him, but she put the cup back, then hugged her legs, and leaned against Wen Jiu to watch the movie. This movie is called a comedy, but it is actually more tragic. The heroine was arranged by her family since she was a child, but as she gradually grew up and awakened herself, she began to work hard to resist her family. The plot was very funny, but Wen Jiu and Kyoshi couldn't laugh at all, and they didn't even feel like eating. Moreover, the ending of the movie seemed to Wen Jiu to be a forced family reunion. The heroine who resisted most of the movie finally chose to give in order to reconcile with her family. Not only did she give up her dream, but she also married the man who arranged the baby marriage. Although it was shown later how happy her married life was, Wen Jiu really couldn't bear it. What era is this? And still child marriages are being arranged. She asked Kyoshi to turn off the projector. The King dynasty has been gone for who knows how many years. How can there still be a preference for boys over girls? Because the heroine in the movie has a younger brother, she married the boy of the child marriage in order to allow her brother to step into a higher class. On the wedding day, her parents smiled like two flowers, and just watching them made Wen Jiu very annoyed. Yeah. Kyoshi took a deep breath, as if she was holding back something. Seeing her like this, Wen Jiu couldn't help but think of the plot of the movie just now. No way, the heroine of the movie is actually next to her? But she didn't ask anything out loud, just turned sideways and took Kyoshi into her arms to comfort her. No one can force you to do something you don't want to do, and you don't have to sacrifice yourself for someone who is not worth it. Perhaps because she heard her words, Kyoshi suddenly burst into tears. Wen Jiu patted her back to comfort her and took a tissue to wipe her tears. He waited until she finished crying before speaking softly. "You know, I also regard you as my best friend, so you can tell me if you are unhappy. I will not think you are troublesome, nor will I be annoyed by you." Kyoshi blew her nose with a tissue, and after a while she told the whole story. This incident is indeed similar to the plot of the movie. She was taught by her family to be a good girl since she was a child. She was not allowed to learn fighting and did not do rude things. She only needed to learn etiquette and be a graceful lady. When she was young, she never thought that there was anything wrong with these things, but as she grew older, she suddenly realized that she did not like these things. She began to desire to learn fighting and become stronger, so that she could become a powerful female soldier in the military district like her cousin in the future. But her parents disagreed with her idea and even asked her to break off contact with her cousin. At first, she believed that her parents were sincerely doing good for her, but she was really unwilling to give up her dream, so she secretly communicated with her cousin to learn fighting skills, and unexpectedly awakened her superpowers. I ran to tell them about this excitedly that day, but when my dad found out. Kyoshi paused at this point, and her eyes were covered with a layer of mist again. Her appearance was already outstanding, and this cry made her look even more heartbreaking. Seeing this, Wen Jiu quickly handed her a tissue and comforted her. "It's okay, it's all over." After Kyoshi calmed down again, she continued to talk. She thought her parents would be very happy when they knew about this. After all, awakening the superpowers meant that she would definitely be able to enter the preparatory military school. And her cousin said that with her talent and hard work, she would definitely be able to continue her studies on the intermediate planet in the future, and when she graduated, she would be able to successfully enter the military district and become a soldier. But what she never expected was that her father slapped her on the spot and scolded her for not doing her job properly. A girl should be like a girl. But what should a girl be like? Is it not the way of a girl to be she can be yourself? I just don't like those so-called strict etiquette, and I don't like to wear a princess dress and be a good lady. I want to be like my cousin, wearing combat uniforms on the battlefield to fight interstellar monsters. Even if the blood of the alien beasts covers my body, I still think it looks great. She choked up again when she said this, so when Jiu interrupted her and said, fighting against interstellar alien beasts is not just a melee, especially against mid and high level interstellar alien beasts, you must drive a mecha. Today's third update has also been successfully delivered. Thank you little angels for your support, and love 030. Thank you everyone. Chapter 295 Brown Sugar Pearl Milk Tea 1. After being interrupted by Wen Jiu, Kyoshi burst into laughter. As she was laughing, she felt a little thirsty, so she picked up the cup on the table and took a sip. The fragrance of tea and the sweetness of milk filled her mouth in an instant. The warm milk tea slowly exuded a unique and mellow aroma. The tea aroma in the milk flavor emerged layer by layer. The sweetness was just right and not greasy, and the taste was very refreshing. She drank half a cup without realizing it. The pearls contained in it were soft, sweet and chewy. She didn't know how they were made. She only knew that, after drinking half a cup of milk tea, she felt a lot lighter and even relaxed. So she asked curiously, what is this sweet drink? This is brown sugar pearl milk tea. When Jiu picked up another cup and took a sip, how do you think it tastes? As soon as she finished speaking, she saw Kyoshi take another big sip and then chewed the pearls while commenting, it's very delicious. I like this milk tea so much. I've bought pearl milk tea at Fanhuatang before, but the sweetness was too strong and the pearls were so hard that I couldn't bite them at all. Wen Jiu had never drunk pearl milk tea at Fanhuatang, but she could tell that this was a store that sold beverages. How many star coins does Fanhuatang sell for a cup? She thought for a moment before asking. After all, she was planning to sell brown sugar pearl milk tea at Wen Jiu restaurant, so she had to understand the market price. Well, I remember it was more than 800 star coins a cup. Kyoshi drank the milk tea in the cup without a drop left and scooped up the brown sugar pearls that sank to the bottom with a spoon. The pearls were so chewy, but soft and sticky inside with the sweet aroma of brown sugar, which made her unable to extricate herself. When she put the last pearl into her mouth, Wen Jiu whispered, let me pour you another cup, there's more in the pot. Hearing this, Kyoshi quickly declined. No, I can do it myself. After that, she quickly stood up and ran to the kitchen, poured herself a large cup of milk tea and several spoons of pearls before returning to Wen Jiu's side. After being comforted by milk tea, Kyoshi felt much better at the moment. Therefore, when she talked about the following things, she didn't show any sad expression. The subsequent development of things was somewhat beyond Wen Jiu's expectations. She had guessed that Kyoshi's parents would stop her from continuing to learn fighting, but she didn't expect that Kyoshi, who had always been gentle and well behaved, would ignore her parents' opinions and directly sign up for the 3047 Academy. Because other private colleges are more or less involved in personal forces, and 3047 College is the only public college and the only college that does not have personal forces involved. So if Kyoshi applied for a private college, her parents would most likely find out and persuade her to quit, and then send her to a so-called women's college for further study. After she secretly applied for 3047 College with the help of her cousin, her parents were furious and almost locked her at home and did not allow her to go to the college. I have to thank Teacher Yu. If she hadn't come to me in person, I would probably have been locked up by them and missed the enrollment. Kyoshi sighed when she said this. She didn't understand why her parents were so resistant to her attending the military academy before, but later she realized that the reason was actually very simple. Just because she was a girl, her parents didn't like her that much and didn't value her that much. Maybe just like in the movie, her parents hope that she will get married as soon as possible, preferably marry a more outstanding rich man, to be a stepping stone for her brother's future development. Actually, when I think about it now, I feel that I'm really tough. I dared to quarrel with my parents in public and splashed a drink on my brother. This was somewhat beyond Wen Jiu's expectations. She listened carefully to Kyoshi's story, then slowly widened her eyes and sighed inwardly. The runaway sweetheart turned out to be her friend. On the day of her brother's birthday party, Kyoshi overheard her parents saying that they wanted to find a connection to cancel her admission, and they also planned to arrange her to be the fiancée of a young master in advance. What made her most angry was that her brother was listening to these things next to her parents. After listening, he even said that he would persuade his sister to drop out of school, and said that girls should get married early. All kinds of things piled up, even people with good tempers could not bear it. So Kyoshi took advantage of her brother's polite speech on the stage and directly picked up the drink and splashed it on him, and then she had a fierce quarrel with her parents. Then she took advantage of the chaos and ran out of the banquet hall. Although she was later found by her family, fortunately, with the help of teacher Yu and her cousin, at least her parents would no longer interfere with her schooling. Anyway, they just think that raising me is useless, and the only use is to trade my marriage. At this point, Kyoshi drank a sip of milk tea indignantly to calm down. She no longer had that sad and depressed mood, only anger and dissatisfaction. I think your parents' thinking is really futile. What era is it? They still insist on child marriage and women are not worthy of entering the military region. Wen Jiu couldn't help but complain. She really couldn't understand this kind of thinking. This is the interstellar age. Technology has advanced so much, how come some people's thinking is regressing? And your cousin is a very outstanding female soldier. Why do they still think that women are not worthy of entering the military district? As soon as she finished speaking, she heard Kyoshi sighed and said, in fact, my cousin's parents don't agree with her taking this path. It's all because of her own efforts and persistence that she has come to where she is now. And every time she goes home, her parents force her to get married, which also makes her not want to go home at all during her vacation. The more Wen Jiu listened, the more he felt shocked. How could there be such feudal thinking in the interstellar age? Women who can enter the military district and become frontline soldiers must be very outstanding. It stands to reason that, even if the other party does not marry or have children, no one dares to say anything bad behind their backs. For example, Yu Ruman is a firm advocate of not marrying and not having children, but few people dare to say that her thinking is wrong. And apart from anything else, women should have the right to choose their own lives. Whether it is choosing not to marry and have children, or choosing to get married and have children, this should be made by women themselves, rather than being forced to make the so-called correct choice. So when Jiu said, I think you should stick to your original intention, and don't change anything, because of what others say. Today's first update has been delivered. Please check it out. Little Angels 030. Thank you for your support and love. Chapter 296 Brown Sugar Pearl Milk Tea 2. Kyoshi suddenly shed a few tears after hearing this. She didn't expect Wen Jiu to support her choice. She had been worried that the other party would think that it was wrong for her to disobey her parents. So she was entangled for a long time and didn't know whether to speak out her heart. But now that she has spoken out, Wen Jiu not only supports her choice, but also encourages her to continue to stick to her dream. This made her more determined to think that she would work hard to become the person she wants to be, instead of letting others manipulate her and becoming a doll. By the way, what happened to you during this period? Wen Jiu picked up a piece of fried chicken and rolled it in the dipping sauce. The golden and crispy skin of the fried chicken was stained with light red chili sauce, which made her open her mouth and take a bite. The rich and fragrant juice splashed in her mouth, and the tender chicken and the crispy skin formed a sharp contrast. There is also a spicy, but not heavy spicy sauce, which instantly enriches the layering of the fried chicken taste and makes the chicken more tender and delicious. Wen Jiu ate several pieces of fried chicken in one breath. Although these fried chickens have been a little cold after being left for so long, they still taste delicious. Seeing this, Kyoshi silently picked up a piece of fried chicken and dipped it in another beige dipping sauce. She wanted to answer Wen Jiu's question while eating, but when she bit off the fried chicken, she found that she was really thinking too much. The delicious and fragrant chicken and the fragrant garlic sauce blended in her mouth, which not only incorporated the strong garlic flavor, but also enhanced the deliciousness of the chicken. The fried chicken with the dipping sauce was much more delicious than the original fried chicken, so Kyoshi also started to eat it. It was not until the two of them finished a large plate of fried chicken that they returned to the previous topic. I thought that, if I did well in the final exam, my parents might support me to continue on this path, but as soon as I went back home during the holidays, they started to introduce me to someone, and frantically persuaded me to apply for withdrawal from school. Please, how old am I now? And they are eager to find a partner for me. And what I can't stand the most is that I don't know how they knew that I have a good relationship with Jiu, and then they instilled something in me. Wen Jiu understood what he said immediately, and she said directly, do they want you to get the moon first, because you are close to the water? Yes, that's what they think. Kyoshi rolled her eyes speechlessly. Jiu and I are pure good friends, and I just want to study hard and enter the military in the future. Wen Jiu naturally understood that the other party was speaking the truth. Although the relationship between the two of them was good, they really didn't mean to develop in that direction. Besides, they were still young. Who would think too much in that direction? Your parents' ideas are really both feudal and open. Wen Jiu expressed his thoughts softly. I think you should just stick to your own heart. If you don't want to go home, don't go back. Why don't you just stay with me? Anyway, we are roommates in the college, and there is only Ziohei and me in this house. It's good to have more people to accompany me. Kyoshi was very moved when she heard these words. She hugged Wen Jiu and thanked him. Jiu, thank you. Then the two chatted for a while, and Wen Jiu got up and went to the kitchen to pour 2 more cups of milk tea, and also took some dried fruits that he baked himself. Just now, because Kyoshi was in a bad mood, she chose the movie casually, and it used the most common projection method. So while they were not sleepy now, the two of them picked a newly released horror movie together. Wow, this holographic projection is so advanced. When Jiu finally sat back on the sofa, she hugged a pillow and watched the movie seriously. The holographic projection gave her a sense of realism, as if the male and female protagonists of the movie were right in front of her. Kyoshi leaned close to her and whispered, don't think I sounded so high-spirited just now. I'm actually quite afraid of interstellar monsters in horror movies, especially those from the ocean. Unfortunately, the newly released horror movie is mainly about interstellar monsters from the ocean. Hey, it's the orphan and deep sea shrimp. Kyoshi grabbed Wen Jiu's arm, trying to gain some sense of security. The interstellar monster is called a shrimp, but it actually looks more like a caterpillar. A small caterpillar is not scary, but the problem is that this is a caterpillar that has been magnified countless times, and there are 2 long tentacles hanging down from its head. When it appeared, Wen Jiu was also shocked. Its dark green body was almost as tall as a 3-story building. Its black eyes stared at the tiny male and female protagonists at its feet. Its round mouth was full of fangs and was constantly dripping with red blood. How come this thing is so big? Wen Jiu was just shocked but not scared. And it looks so casual. Is it because it lives in the deep sea and no one can see it? Her complaints dissolved the rising atmosphere of terror, causing Kyoshi to laugh. Most interstellar beasts are bigger as their ranks increase. For example, the orphan deep sea shrimp in the movie is about the 5th level. When we were in class at the academy, we mainly learned about the 2nd level, so relatively speaking, their size is not that big, and many interstellar beasts look weird. As soon as the voice fell, the orphan deep sea shrimp suddenly pounced on the male and female protagonists. Because the holographic projection was so realistic, Kyoshi couldn't help screaming. Ziohei, who had jumped to the empty space on the sofa and wanted to lie down to rest, was frightened by her scream and arched his body and made dissatisfied cat sounds. Seeing this, Kyoshi's face flushed. Although she didn't understand what Ziohei was saying, she could tell that he was frightened by her. So she picked up the dried fruit on the coffee table and wanted to feed Ziohei one, but the sweet smell from the fruit made her eat the dried fruit involuntarily. This made Ziohei even angrier. He jumped over and tried to scratch Kyoshi, but was hugged by Wen Jiu next to him. You want to watch a movie too, right? Come on, sit in my arms and watch it together. The movie had only been playing for more than half an hour when the male and female protagonists began to fight with the orphan deep sea shrimp. Because the female protagonist couldn't drive a mecha, the male protagonist had to drive a mecha to cover her. Seeing this, Kyoshi couldn't help but complain, if you really encounter a 5th level interstellar monster in reality, how can you fight it without driving a mecha? And this female protagonist is an ordinary person without superpowers. I'm afraid she will be killed instantly. As soon as she finished speaking, she heard Ziohei start to meow, as if agreeing with her words. Today's second update has also been successfully delivered. Thanks again to the little angels for their support. 030. Chapter 297 Brown Sugar Pearl Milk Tea 3. Moreover, Ziohei turned around in disdain, buried his head in Wen Jiu's arms, and acted as if he disdained to watch such a movie. Kyoshi originally wanted to touch Ziohei's head, but the other party seemed to have noticed her intention, and buried his head deeper, and kept making low threatening sounds. Wow, Ziohei is quite temperamental. She silently withdrew her hand, and continued to watch the movie. But this movie has nothing to watch except the special effects. Not only is the plot old-fashioned and boring, but the acting of the male and female protagonists is also very stiff. I look at these two actors. They look like new actors who have just debuted. Kyoshi usually reads entertainment news. After all, occasionally understanding gossip is also a way to relax. As she was talking, the male and female supporting roles finally appeared. This female supporting role looks so familiar. She scratched her head and thought, and she is quite beautiful, and she feels like a queen. Wen Jiu was curious after hearing this, so she looked at the female supporting role who had just appeared. She was so familiar with that pair of green charming eyes. Wasn't it Zuan Rudy who always came to her stall? It was normal for Kyoshi to feel familiar, because she had watched Wen Jiu setting up a stall before, and happened to run into Zuan Rudy who came to ask for divination. She is actually a newcomer who just debuted. This movie is her debut work. Kyoshi searched on the light screen panel. She only then knew that the male and female protagonists of the movie were actually actors who debuted for nearly 2 years, but the beautiful female supporting role who attracted the eye as soon as she appeared was a newcomer who just debuted. Wow, and she performed all the fighting scenes herself. Kyoshi quickly turned off the light screen panel and began to watch the wonderful scenes of the female supporting role seriously. It can be said that Zuan Rude's appearance saved this old-fashioned movie, and Wen Jiu didn't expect that the other party was actually quite strong in combat. Although in the Interstellar era, as long as the potential for superpowers is detected, one can enter the military academy, but most people cannot detect such potential, so they can only go to ordinary academies to study, and then engage in other professions. Therefore, many stars are not good at fighting. When they encounter fighting scenes, they basically ask a stunt double to help. For example, in the scene where the male protagonist drives a mecha in the front of the movie, the male protagonist filmed a few shots pretending to drive, and then the stunt double filmed the real driving of the mecha. Why are you sitting here crying? Kinga is so injured now, we should find medicine to treat her quickly. If you continue to be depressed, it will only delay time and kill Kinga. Zuan Rudy in the movie wears a tight white combat uniform. After a battle, it was stained with dazzling green blood, which made her look less beautiful and bright than before, but added a bit of the atmosphere of an iceberg beauty. Moreover, Wen Jiu could hear that this was Zuan Rude's original voice without dubbing. The other party's words were clear and his acting skills were superb. He was indeed a good material for being an actor. No wonder she hadn't seen Zuan Rudy in the Star Network world for some time. It turned out that she went to shoot a movie. Speaking of the Star Network world, the booth she rented had expired, so she had to think carefully about whether to renew it. Wow, she's so handsome. I love her so much. Kyoshi changed from the state of being frightened by the horror movie to a fangirl of Zuan Rudy and started to cheer for her crazily. Her change of state surprised Wen Jiu and Ziohei. Ziohei cried out in dissatisfaction, meow, meow meow meow. However, Kyoshi had no energy to deal with it and just continued to watch Zuan Rude's performance seriously. After watching a movie, Wen Jiu only saw the magic of holographic projection. As for the plot of the movie, she could only say that it was very average. The plot of the first movie was forced to be family friendly, and the plot of the second movie was cliched and old-fashioned. Only Zuan Rude's role and holographic special effects made people's eyes light up. Where have I seen this beauty before? Why does she look so familiar? After watching the movie, Wen Jiu put Ziohei back to the cat bed, and Kyoshi was responsible for cleaning up. At this moment, she was lying on Wen Jiu's big bed, muttering to herself, and the light screen panel in front of her was playing a collection of Zuan Rudi's wonderful scenes released by others. As for Wen Jiu, she was seriously studying the matter of renting a stall in the Star Network world. She flipped through the rules for renting a stall, and searched for several questions on it, before she found the answer she wanted. Because she only went online to set up a stall 2 or 3 times a week, renting it for a month or half a year would be like giving money to someone else. Even if the stall was empty, the full rent would still be deducted. So when Jiu was thinking about whether there was a way to avoid this situation, whether it was in the Starlight Night Market or other areas of the Star Network world, private subletting was not allowed. This meant that she could not rent it to others at a lower price during the idle period of the stall, and renting it at a lower price would still mean that she was losing money. As a person who aspired to become the richest person in the Interstellar, she could not do such a thing of losing star coins. But not being able to rent it to others did not mean that she could not rent it from others. She thought that, since there were monthly, half-year or even annual rents for renting stalls, why was there no daily rent? So when Jiu searched for a long time, and finally found the answer she wanted. Xinguang Night Market does have stalls that are rented by the day, commonly known as mobile stalls. After all, there are always some stalls that are not rented out in such a large area. For example, those with bad locations are difficult to rent out through normal stall rental methods. Therefore, Xinguang Night Market rents out these stalls by the day, and rents them to those who only want to rent stalls for a short period of time. Help. Is Zuan Rudi's beauty real? Just as when Jiu was browsing the rental of mobile stalls, he suddenly heard Kyoshi rolling on the bed, and making strange noises. Kyoshi originally thought that she would sleep in the guest room, but after watching the movie, she was still a little afraid of the Orim and deep sea shrimp, so she ran to Wen Jiu's room, and wanted to squeeze in, to sleep for a night. Wen Jiu naturally had no objection to this, but she didn't expect that the other party was actually fascinated by Zuan Rudi. Sorry, Jiu, did I disturb you? Kyoshi saw Wen Jiu looking at her, and quickly sat up, and lowered her head, with shyness written all over her face. Wen Jiu shook his head and said, "No, you continue watching your video." Hearing this, Kyoshi continued to watch the video. Wen Jiu continued to study the rules for renting mobile stalls. She found that mobile stalls are indeed suitable for her. The daily stall fee is only 1 or 200 star coins. If you want to rent a stall in a better location, it will cost 3 or 400 star coins. But for someone like her who already has regular customers, it doesn't matter if the location is a little off. The last update of today has also been successfully delivered. Everyone go to bed early. 030. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 298 Final Exam Results 1. If you want to rent a mobile stall, you need to download a small plugin, and then the location of the rentable stall will be refreshed on time at midnight every night. The stall fee required for each location is slightly different. You can choose the location you want to rent, and then confirm the payment, and you can use the location to set up a stall on the same day. It was almost midnight at this time, so when Jiu quickly downloaded the plugin of the Starlight Night Market, and waited to choose a stall for the day. Alas, there are too few videos of Didi. Kyoshi lay flat on the bed and sighed. I really hope Didi can shoot more film and television dramas. Hearing this, Wen Jiu asked curiously, how is her popularity now? It should be pretty good. As long as Zuan Rudi does what she told her, her popularity after entering the entertainment industry will definitely not be bad, because her wealth and career luck are already very prosperous. In the past, it was mainly because she had committed suicide too many times, which led to her fortune gradually going downhill. Didi's popularity is still quite high now. I think her number of fans on Xingbo is almost 1 million. Kyoshi turned over and leaned against Wen Jiu, showing him her light screen panel. Xingbo strictly prohibits the number of fans from being faked. In addition, Xingwang accounts need to be registered and logged in with real names. Buying fake accounts not only costs a high price of star coins, but also violates federal law. Once found out, you will be sentenced to 3 years in federal prison. Therefore, Zhuang Rudy has nearly 1 million fans right after her debut, which can be said to be quite popular. And she can attract such a high level of attention in such a bad movie, which is enough to prove that her acting skills are really good. It's amazing. Wen Jiu couldn't help but sigh. If Zhuang Rudy could help her advertise, wouldn't her popularity on Bicol be rising? But she quickly gave up this idea. She still owed a large debt to Zhu Huasu. Another wave of fans might squeeze her dry. When it was midnight, Wen Jiu quickly refreshed the interface and started to choose a stall. She looked at the available locations and found that they were indeed quite remote, either at the corner or at the end of the street, but she didn't care about these. She just picked a cheap location and paid the rent. Anyway, she already has her own fixed customer base, so it doesn't matter if the location is a little off. Besides, the business she does is not something that ordinary people can do, so she doesn't worry about others taking away her business. Then Wen Jiu took a look at the friend information of the handsome boy, and when she saw that he was not online, she closed the light screen panel. After all, after so many contacts, she probably figured out a pattern of the other party looking for her. Although the handsome boy always came to chat with her at night, he would always go online for a few minutes before coming to her and then transfer money to her to buy the chat service. However, the handsome boy has not come online yet, so she estimated that he will not show up tonight. What's more, it's already very late, and she has to get up early to go to the store tomorrow. So she turned off the lights and got into bed with Kyoshi, but Kyoshi couldn't fall asleep, no matter how much she turned. So she moved to her side and asked softly, Jiu, if I don't go home, will my parents disown me as their daughter? I can't say for sure. Wen Jiu looked straight at the ceiling. If your parents threatened you to drop out of school by severing ties with you, will you agree to them? Kyoshi didn't answer after she finished speaking, so the two remained silent. It wasn't until Wen Jiu was a little drowsy that he heard the other party's light voice. I won't agree. I've made up my mind to stick to it. Even if they use this kind of thing to threaten me, it can't stop me from moving towards my dream. In fact, Kyoshi has been struggling with this problem for a long time, and she is very worried that this situation will happen. Especially after she went home for the holiday, she excitedly told her parents that she performed very well in the final exam this time, and if nothing unexpected happens, she should be able to get into the top 10 of the grade. But her parents didn't even smile. Just tell her that girls shouldn't be too strong. Otherwise, when boys see how good she is, they will feel that they are inferior to her, and over time, no boy will like her. After all, boys like the kind that can arouse their desire to protect. Therefore, she quarrels with her parents every day at home, and her careless brother adds fuel to the fire, making her not want to stay at home at all. Fortunately, Wen Jiu finally opened the store, so she found a reason to run out and relax. Am I being very rebellious when I say this? Kyoshi turned over and moved closer to Wen Jiu, only to hear the other party's somewhat confused voice. Rebellious is rebellious. The most important thing is to be happy. Do whatever you want to do. Don't leave yourself with regrets. Kyoshi felt warm in her heart after hearing this. She was about to go over and hug Wen Jiu, and she heard the other party's slightly sticky voice because of sleepiness. But you can't do anything illegal. It's still important to abide by the law. This was the last sentence Wen Jiu said before he fell asleep completely. Kyoshi couldn't help but chuckled and then followed her into a sweet dream. The next morning, Zhuohe's leg injury was almost healed, so Wen Jiu let him play freely in the living room on the second floor. Maybe because of the nature of cats, Zhuohe always likes to jump to the windowsill and lie down, and occasionally he will test whether the window is closed. However, Wen Jiu will not give it the opportunity to jump out of the window to die. After all, the ointment for Zhuohe's leg injury cost her a lot of star coins, so she closed the windows on the second floor tightly. Because in addition to the glass window, the window also has a layer of tight screen, so she mainly locks the screen, and the small gap of the screen can keep the ventilation smooth. And even if Ziohei has sharp claws, he can't break the solid double layer wire screen. Good morning, Sister Jiu. When Jiu had just closed the door to the second floor and was about to go downstairs, when she saw Zikingai walking into Wen's restaurant with a howling voice. I've bought everything you want. Do you still want to put it in the small warehouse? No one knew what was wrong with his brain today. Not only did he smile so brightly, but he also waved his hands wildly to greet Wen Jiu. Well, just put it in there. She looked at Zikingai seriously. When did your symptoms appear? Zikingai jumped towards the small warehouse. Hearing this, he asked in confusion, what symptoms? Seeing that he was indeed not normal, Wen Jiu poked his forehead with his index finger and said, here, is there something wrong with you? Unexpectedly, Zikingai smiled even more brightly, and even the tone of her voice became much more cheerful. Jiu, there is nothing wrong with me. It's just that the results of the final exam are out, and I did exceptionally well this time. Today's first update has been successfully delivered by the little author. Please check it out, my lovely little angels. 030. Chapter 299 Final Exam Results 2. As soon as he finished speaking, Kyoshi, who came out of the kitchen, widened her eyes slightly. Have the results of the final exam come out? I haven't received any push notifications. Wen Jiu also looked puzzled. She had specially visited the college forum this morning, but she didn't see any posts saying that the results had been released. However, she went to the college forum, mainly to see what everyone thought of the cafeteria. As expected, many students said that they wanted to go back to the college to study as soon as possible. Because they were used to eating the food in the cafeteria, they felt that it was hard to swallow when they went home to eat their own food. After all, most of the students in the 3047 college came from ordinary families and could not afford to hire a private chef to cook at home like Zikingai did. But even if there was a private chef to cook for him, Zikingai, who had been spoiled by Wen Jiu, felt that no one could cook as well as his sister Jiu, and he didn't want to eat anything that was not cooked by his sister Jiu. I have inside information. Zikingai raised his chin slightly and looked up, showing his proud and slightly arrogant expression. Because they had been together for a long time, Wen Jiu and Kyoshi had not seen him like this for a long time. Zikingai stood with his arms folded for a long time, but he didn't wait for the scene he expected, so he couldn't help but ask in confusion, don't you want to know how you did in the exam? However, Wen Jiu didn't say anything, and went straight into the kitchen. Kyoshi finally responded to him. I don't want to know. Anyway, the results will be out in the next 2 days. Zikingai's face fell immediately after hearing this. Yesterday, he saw that Kyoshi was in a bad mood, and he thought about it, and couldn't think of a good way. So he thought about asking Kyoshi about the results to make her happy. After all, before the exam, she seemed to attach great importance to the final exam results. As a result, she was not interested in knowing at all, which made him feel like a big fool. In fact, Kyoshi originally wanted to know the results as soon as possible, but after being enlightened by Wen Jiu last night, she realized that, no matter how well she did in the exam, her parents would not change their minds because of this. So she didn't want to know the results and ranking so quickly, but it didn't mean that she would give up working towards her dream. It's just that everything she did next was just for herself, and she no longer needed to prove anything to her parents. Seeing that Zikingai looked pitiful again, Kyoshi sighed and said helplessly, okay, then tell me how I did in the exam. Humph. Sure enough, you are playing hard to get. Zikingai perked up instantly. Very good, you succeeded in getting my attention. Hearing his words, Wen Jiu, who was carrying the ingredients, was speechless. Where did he learn this from? Is there also literature about domineering CEOs in the Interstellar era? Girl, only I can tell you the results of the final exam. As soon as Zikingai finished speaking, he heard a long and leisurely voice from the kitchen. The college sent a message. Shishi's rankings in the fighting class and the supernatural power use class are 4th and 3rd respectively. He felt as if he was slapped in the face by the other party. Why did the college's message come at this time instead of earlier or later? Really? Shishi quickly opened the light screen panel to check the message. The results are better than I expected. She jumped up excitedly and gave Zikingayu a big hug. This unexpected hug instantly dyed Zikingayu's fair face with crimson, and the blush even spread to the tip of his ears. He only felt that his body became hot and stiff. However, before he could come to his senses, he saw Shishi running into the kitchen again. He could only pout and say in a weak voice, "That's too much. Do you know how to keep a safe distance? And this will ruin my reputation." But his voice was too small, and Shishi and Wen Jiu were in the kitchen, so no one could hear what he was mumbling. When Shishi came out of the kitchen, he had already returned to normal and was actively cleaning the hall. "Hey, don't sweep the floor here. Hurry up and put the ingredients in the small warehouse. Jiu is in a hurry to use them." She directly snatched the broom from Zikingayu's hand and then told the other party to leave quickly with a look of disgust. Zikingayu, who was disliked, had to turn around and walk to the kitchen. Because the small warehouse was in the kitchen, he had to go to the kitchen first before going to the small warehouse. However, when he walked into the kitchen, he did not see Wen Jiu, so he went to the small warehouse first to put the ingredients, and then went out of the back door of the small warehouse directly to the backyard, and then found that Wen Jiu was leaning over a large wooden barrel. "Sister Jiu, what are you doing? Do you need my help?" He walked over curiously and took a look, only to see that the bottom of the wooden barrel was full of small white fragments. Wen Jiu looked up at him and said, "Spread the plastic sheet over there on the ground. Spread it flat and find something to hold it down at the four corners to prevent it from being blown away by the wind." After hearing her words, Zikingayu immediately took off her coat and hung it on the wooden rack beside her, then rolled up her sleeves and started to work seriously. After he spread the plastic sheet flat, Wen Jiu put the small fragments in the wooden barrel into small basins in batches, and then asked her to put these small fragments on the plastic sheet. The small fragments are the sweet potato starch that has been precipitated, but they still need to be dried before they can be used. After doing all this, she took Zikingayu back to the kitchen and moved the ingredients for lunch to the chopping board. After the trial operation yesterday, she had a preliminary understanding of the customer base of Wen Jiu restaurant. Although most of the tourists who come to the East Lake Scenic area are middle-aged and elderly, these tourists rarely come to the commercial area. Most of them prepare their own food or nutrient solution. The tourists who come to the commercial area for shopping are still mainly young people, so most of the customers who came to Wen Jiu restaurant for dinner yesterday were young people. Before, she thought about considering tourists of all ages, so the dishes she launched can be said to be suitable for all ages, and even the free sour plum soup can be tasted by people of all ages. But now it seems that she can add a few dishes that young people like, but she still has to think about what dishes to make. Wen Jiu plans to continue the trial operation today. After all, she still has to observe the customer flow. Zikingayu, you should take these ingredients and shred them. Shishi, come and help me watch the heat of the sour plum soup. The three of them carried out the preparations in an orderly manner. Perhaps because of the adaptation period yesterday, their work today went particularly smoothly, and they completed the preparation of the ingredients half an hour before opening for business. Today's second update is also perfectly delivered. Thank you for the support and love of every little angel. 030. Chapter 300 Final Exam Results 3. As soon as she had some free time, Zikingayu started to talk. Jiu, didn't you check your grades and ranking? Because each student chooses different courses, the way 3047 Academy calculates grades and rankings is different from modern academies. Here, grades are mainly calculated and ranked within the subject. For example, Shishi's combat class score is calculated to be 4th in the grade, which means that she is only 4th in the combat class. Not all grades are ranked this way. Because the subjects she did not sign up for will not be included in her grades, she will not have a ranking for the subject. But Wen Jiu is different. She signed up for all the subjects with the mentality of coming here so she will have grades and rankings for each subject. It's strange. Why are JIUG's grades so outrageous? Zikingayu took the opportunity to open the light screen panel. As long as you enter the student number of the student, you can check the grades in the Academy's app, but the grades displayed on the interface are really unbelievable to him. Although he didn't know what Wen Jiu was like in other subjects, he knew that his fighting class, ability use, and pharmacy were all excellent, and he was far ahead of other students. But the results of Wen Jiu shown on the interface were completely inconsistent with his perception. He ranked 11th in fighting class and 15th in ability use. The most outrageous of these was the ranking in pharmacy, where Wen Jiu was ranked 23rd. Did the teacher make a mistake in the grades? How could Jiu be ranked so low? Kyoshi came to Zikingayu's side to check the light screen panel. After reading it, she felt that she was full of question marks. However, Wen Jiu did not show any strange look. She said with her usual smile, "I'll ask teacher Yu later and I'll know." She had actually expected this result. After all, Yu Ruman secretly changed her personal information, so her final grades would inevitably be changed. Especially after she learned a lot of information from Zhu Wangming, she was more confident in her guess. In fact, she didn't even need to ask Yu Ruman, she could guess why the other party did this. It was nothing more than worrying that her real grades would attract the attention of those people again after they were spread out. Seeing that Wen Jiu was not unusual, Kyoshi breathed a sigh of relief and said, Jiu, you have to ask teacher Yu carefully. The final grades of each semester are counted into the graduation assessment. Yes, the final exam results are still very important. Zikingayu quickly added, if the total score of the graduation assessment does not meet the standard, you can only make do with graduation, and cannot continue to study in the military academy. After listening to the two people's words, Wen Jiu could only express again that he would definitely ask seriously, which made them temporarily relieved. Then they rested for a while. In the middle, Wen Jiu also went to the second floor to check around and added prescription food and dried fish to Ziohei's food bowl. Ziohei was also rare not to be naughty, just lying lazily on the windowsill to bask in the sun. So Wen Jiu put a few more dried fish as a reward, and she checked the doors and windows again before leaving the second floor. It's not that she was reluctant to let Ziohei go, but mainly because the medical expenses had to be spent, and he had to heal his wounds. If Ziohei jumped out of the window, he might hurt his legs again. What's more, she said that, as long as Ziohei healed his wounds, she would let him play freely in the commercial district. Although Ziohei didn't understand her words very well, after getting along with Wen Jiu for a few days, he could still understand that Wen Jiu had no ill will towards him, so he would lie down and rest and heal his wounds, and no longer do those suicidal things. It was almost business time at noon, so Wen Jiu went downstairs and returned to the kitchen. Zikingayu and Kyoshi, who were downstairs, had already made preparations. Boss Z, this is the situation in our mall. Jiang Wenliang happily introduced the legendary little Boss Z. He didn't know why the other party was interested in his mall. It was fine if the other party sent someone to contact him to discuss business, but he actually came to inspect it in person. The situation of your mall is pretty good, Ziziu said with a cold face, making it difficult to detect his emotions. I will let Zhao Zhu talk to you in detail later. Hearing his words, Jiang Wenliang's smile deepened. Okay, Z's move has solved my urgent need. This medium-sized mall is one of his Jiang family's industries. Although it has a good geographical location next to East Lake, the overall turnover is actually not high, and it has been in a state of loss in the past 2 years. The Jiang family is not a wealthy family. It all depends on Jiang Wenliang to start from scratch and get to where he is now. Naturally, they can't afford such losses. But the location is too good, and the selling price cannot be lowered, causing many people who want to buy it to be discouraged by this price. Jiang Wenliang originally wanted to reduce the price, because his company really couldn't afford this medium-sized mall. Unexpectedly, Ziziu's assistant suddenly contacted him 2 days ago, saying that Ziozi was interested in purchasing his mall, but he had to visit it on the spot before discussing the contract in detail. This was a godsend for Jiang Wenliang, so he immediately agreed. But Zizio had too many things to deal with, and only today did he find time to meet Jiang Wenliang and inspect them all. If you don't mind, why don't you stay for lunch? Jiang Wenliang winked at his assistant. I heard that Z has a light taste recently, and I happen to know a restaurant that makes excellent fish soup. In order to facilitate this deal, he specifically asked about Ziziu, and he sent his assistant to find the restaurant. We can have a meal, but I know a better restaurant. Ziziu just turned around and walked out of the mall, and Jiang Wenliang followed him with a tactful look. But he was thinking about what restaurant the other party chose. If it was the Fister restaurant, then he would have to cut some meat. The news he got included that Zizio liked to go to the Fister restaurant, but everyone knows that the consumption at the Fister restaurant is extremely high, and a meal would cost at least 100,000 star coins. But he still smiled and asked his assistant to drive behind Zizio's car. Wife, it may cost more star coins for me to accompany Zio to dinner, so I'll report to you in advance. Jiang Wenliang is nearly 40 years old, and he and his wife are still as loving as ever. Whether it is the company's accounts or his personal accounts, they are all managed by his wife. After reporting to his wife, Jiang Wenliang planned to take a nap in the car. After all, the Fister restaurant is quite far from Donghu district. But he didn't expect that. As soon as he closed his eyes, he heard his assistant report that Zizio's car had stopped. This is the last update of the day. The little author is typing like crazy every day. Thanks again to the little angels for their support. 030. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.